7 o'clock in St. Louis, and you're listening to TMA. It's presented to you by Brown and Crouppen on 101 ESPN and the TMA STL YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/TMA STL. Tim McKernan, Doug Vaughn, Martin Kilcoyne, Jackson Burkett with you on the program. If you want to call in, Chairman Kurt is manning the Collier and Thompson phone lines. And Doug, the Blues want a baby.
They're going to get one because they are hot. 7 in a row now. You know what struck me is for about a fifth of the season, 15, 16 games, they've been about the best team in the league, and they're still in 5th place in their division. That's how far they had fallen. But it's starting to feel an awful lot like 2019, isn't it?
It is. I want to ask this question to see if I'm on the same page as you boys and the audience, for that matter. And you're welcome to text in 314-399-9646. I felt like the 2019 team, even before the run, had more talent than this team. And that's not intended to be a shot. That's just how I look at it.
Yeah, it feels like it with Petrangelo and O'Reilly and some of those guys.
Tarasenko.
Yeah.
Maybe more established talent.
Yeah. Yes, that probably is the best way to...
Because these guys are young. Are the Blues younger? The Blues have some young talent that's emerging. But I think you're right. Those guys were a little more of established brands.
And also, as shocking as that was, and I realize we're looking at it through the lens of, we know they got past Winnipeg, Dallas, San Jose, and Boston to win the Cup. But this, to me, is more out of nowhere than that. And I guess it's because it didn't really start until late February. And again, you have to stop it at the regular season because that's where we are. We have no idea where this is going to take us. But this one is, I mean, the Blues thing in 2019 started in January. This didn't start until late February. And that's a team that they were playing, and I know they've now lost 3 in a row, but 2 of those were overtime losses up until last night. That has been the second hottest team next to the Blues since the Four Nations break. So, yes, the Canadiens aren't at the top in the Eastern Conference, but they were in the postseason mix as a wild card like the Blues. So it's not like they have been flopping around and they were another Blackhawks and Predators operation. So you see the domination that you saw last night, and you just go, what in the hell is going on? I really want, and maybe Jamie Rivers is up for it. He'll join us on the Stiefel dossier. I'm wanting a full-on hockey nerd breakdown as to what was going on in January when it looked like it was going to be like, oh, we'll see what happens in late March, early April if they bring up Dvorsky and Snuggerud, and that'll be the story for the year, to what we've got now, where they are surging and looking like a team that can make a run.
Yeah.
Because
different coach, different systems, I guess.
But, I mean, it was the same coach
for a couple of months.
Right.
I feel like Robert Thomas was trying to tell us, hey, this team's pretty good. And we're like, okay.
He was
kind of defiant about, hey, this team's really good, and we believe in ourselves.
Then he kind of fell off for a couple weeks, I felt like. And he was
like in that stance, you mean?
Yes. That's what I sensed.
So he doubted it.
I'm not saying he doubted it. I'm saying when we would have the conversation, yes.
Wasn't as...
But we would have the conversation with him, and he would be like, yeah, we really believe we're a good team. And then they started to slip, and you know, I don't know. I'm truly fascinated by what has taken place, because on this one, it's just absolutely out of nowhere. And not to say that 2019 wasn't, but with 2019, you had a full 5 weeks of it before the Blues got to it in 2025. And again, hell, I mean, they're not even guaranteed to get in the playoffs, but because Calgary had a big comeback win themselves last night. But the thing that you now have that was kind of a pipe dream a week or two ago is they're only 2 points back in Minnesota. Minnesota lost last night, and the Blues are 2 points back in Minnesota. So now you have a couple of spots that get you into the playoffs. And as Chris Kerber was saying on the Curbside podcasts this morning, if they are to win tomorrow against Nashville, the game against Colorado can become awfully intriguing, because third place in the Central is within shouting distance now, much less the wild card spot.
Mm-hmm. They went through a couple of stretches early in the season where they just could not buy a goal. You wonder, who's going to score? Maybe they can get a goal or two, and Benner will pitch a shutout. And now, if they don't get 5 a game, we go, what's going on here?
Start booing, Doug?
Yeah.
If they don't get to 5?
It's just incredible, the offense. The last 5 or 6 games, they've scored 5, 7, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 6. That'll win almost every game you play.
And they were talking, we were all talking about one spot for 3 teams. And with Minnesota, as Tim mentioned, kind of coming back to the pack, now it's more like 4 teams for 2 spots.
Yeah.
Instead of 3 for 1. Now, okay, the math is a little more friendly if you lump Minnesota in there with Calgary and Vancouver. I don't know what the what's our thing we follow, Puck Monkey or whatever that tells us
Money Puck.
Oh,
I don't know if there is a puck monkey, but
there could be a good luck charm.
Money Puck is the Blues now, Doug. It's 61.6% to make the playoffs. You've got to know at
98% to make the playoffs.
Calgary at 33%, Vancouver at 15.1%, Utah now down to 3%. By the way, Minnesota's numbers have dropped. They are down to 88.2%, and that was in the mid-90s as of a week and a half ago. So that is your latest on Money Puck. And furthermore, and do with this what you want, Doug. Do with this what you want. But the odds, the percentages to win the Chalice, I don't know how to explain it, but I'm just giving you the numbers. The Wild, 0.6%. The Blues, 1.7%.
We only have a 1.7% chance to win the Stanley Cup.
And what do you put it at? 98, I assume?
I'd put it at about 8-9%. Certainly more than 1%. And the other teams that they're battling, it's not like they have fallen apart. Minnesota kind of has, but even they're playing 500 hockey over the last 10 or so. But these other teams are still playing well. Edmonton, Calgary, they're not going anywhere. It's just that the Blues don't lose.
Cousin Nick in Minnesota, a loyal listener, will tell you the Minnesota teams always tank. Whether it's the Vikings, the Wild, the Twins, he said, don't count on them.
Okay.
Never going to win. Well, the Twins won it in 91?
91 and 87, and they never won a road game.
Mm-hmm.
It's been kind of quiet since for the Vikes.
Wow,
The
talking some
Wild.
smack in advance of the home opener. I guarantee they're listening.
You think they're listening at the hotel right now?
I would think so.
Oh, sure.
Watching on YouTube anyway.
Well, I don't mean to disparage the 2025 Minnesota Twins, but I'm saying historically, Minnesota teams
But the T-Wolves.
have not done.
You think the winner just wears them out and they just
It's a great.
fold their tents?
Why do you hate the big ticket?
Think about it.
I see Jamie Rivers, 8:15. That's locked in on the Stiefel dossier. And then 9 o'clock, Doug, a surprise guest will join
one of
us.
those. Okay.
I felt like we needed
Surprise
one.
guest.
Martin says
we
it's going to be
needed one.
Martin says it's going to be a hit.
That'll be a hit.
Oh, is that right? Ella Reese.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're really random, even though the audience was clamoring for Butch Patrick.
Yes.
And then sometimes they're just kind of spot on. The timing's right.
The timing's right for this
Doug,
one.
that indicates hockey. Do you think it's
Hockey?
Gretzky?
It could be.
Or opening day tomorrow. I actually don't even know the person.
Jackson does not
Jackson
know.
doesn't know.
I don't know.
Wow. Because I was like, oh, are you giving off a false tell there?
don't
No,
know.
so Jackson doesn't know.
No? I just thought I'd keep him out of the loop on
Any
this.
hints you might
Wow.
offer?
Indication of lack
Why?
of
I
trust.
said it was relevant,
Yeah,
Doug. What more do you want?
Relevant.
Jackson, you're out on the surprise guest.
Do you think I'll sing like a canary?
I don't know why I didn't tell you.
It's all right.
I like that, Martin. I like that.
I guess eventually I'll have to figure that out.
Well,
I
that's
live
true.
in a world of distrust, so I like when others do. The Michelob Ultra YouTube chat, boy, they're active in there this morning. Doug, good to see Pee Wee Herman's bow tie talking. And he says tomorrow is going to be a real humdinger of a game. You like that? I bet you
I
like
don't
that.
mind it. Yeah,
I
I don't mind it at all.
Pee Wee Herman's bow tie is talking to Professor Roy Hinckley, who says Doug has that George Hamilton look going this morning. I am getting harder than Chinese trigonometry.
Oh, now would Chinese trigonometry be different than any other sort of trigonometry?
Jackson?
Well, if it's in the...
If it's a Chinese person teaching it, it'd be harder
Well,
to
if
learn.
the-
Ask the question. Repeat the question.
Well, if the numbers... I know the Chinese language, the symbols, the letters are different. I assume numbers are the same. So if you were looking at symbols that you don't know and trying to do complicated math with them,
Yeah.
I imagine that would be tough sledding.
Pretty rugged.
Yeah. But I don't know.
I walked into
bad math.
the Hubbard headquarters here, and there's a video board that will play members of the Hubbard family. And I walked in today, so sometimes it's the Riz Show doing a segment. some of the DJs talking into the camera. I walked in today, and Doug Vaughn had a mic. Looked like you were doing stand-up.
Oh, really?
You were on a stage, perhaps?
No, back here.
You were here? Okay.
Yeah.
There was no audio. I just saw you with a mic, and I thought maybe you were doing material.
I forget. That was a year or two ago that we did that, I think.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen it, though.
You look kind of dapper. You had a sweater on.
Oh, did
Always
I?
looks dapper.
Cardigan?
Yeah.
It was a cardigan. I like a cardigan on the
Probably
gentleman.
from the Andy Williams collection.
Text into the program, 314-399-9646. Jackson didn't say a single word until Tim mentioned the T-Wolves. That's from the 618.
That tracks, does it not?
Yeah, kind of does.
You don't think the audience was clamoring for your take on the win against the Canadiens? Did you get a chance to see a second of last night's festivities?
No, sir.
Well, you, however, might be like a lot of St. Louisians because there were Banny Roosters all over the Twitter tweets because there was a broadcast on a place that I had to download an app for called Victory Plus.
Oh, I saw it on Matrix, Channel 4 Matrix. Took me a while. Took me 15 minutes or so to get
of people
it.
furious about it is amazing. Just like one of the elements of watching sports in 2025, when you would think there would be a correlation with ease with technology, is actually there is an indirect correlation. Not only do you have to have a variety of platforms most of the time, but you also have to have a variety of not only knowledge, but then access to these various different places to watch games, and people were pissy, and understandably so.
Yeah.
I got to be honest with you.
I know.
I know we talked about it on the show yesterday, but I think only 85% of St. Louis listens to the show, so that 15% didn't know.
No.
My DirecTV is 242. Is that what it is? 240?
Yeah.
I think it's 242. Let me see
That's
if
what I was
I'm right.
doing last
242?
night.
CBS. What is that?
Does he know he's on the air half the time? You think they just pot him up and he doesn't even know he's on?
You have a co-host and you have to do something. I guess you just kind of ramble.
Workshop it?
Yeah, I guess.
Like when they ask Francesa, hey, what's the deal with, hey, Mike, Chinese trigonometry, what you got on that? He's like, what are we talking about?
Just audible noises until they can figure out
Grunt a
sentence.
little bit.
Yeah.
Chris Pronger on that pregame show,
Yes, he
postgame
was.
show in the Matrix.
Yeah, he does a good job.
He came up to me with a TV crew yesterday. He starts interviewing me. I was down
I saw that in our text group last night, and I didn't know what you were talking about. But
it was really
I was
a
with the boys, so I'm like,
It was kind of a non sequitur to what we were talking about, and I apologize.
No, it was fine. I just thought maybe I missed something earlier in the group
No,
text.
it was random, and I apologize.
So Pronger was interviewing you.
I'm standing in the tunnel down there. We're doing some pregame journalism, Doug. I saw
Was it
you down there.
journalism?
What time were you on 5:20?
I wasn't there. I don't work there anymore.
Thought I saw you with Shenner pregame. So I'm down there to interview Jakey Neighbors. And after the interview's over, I'm standing. Here comes Prongs. Martin, you wearing makeup, eh? I said, well, it's not new. Yeah, what's that for? I said, well, you don't want to shine. And then Jamie Rivers comes around the car and goes, there's a fella that needs some powder. So he's doing material.
Your balls busted, eh?
Yeah, and it's great, and we're laughing, and I started busting him. I said, what are you tweeting about Vancouver? He goes, what are you talking about? I said, you're tweeting about Quinn Hughes. I go, you work for the Blues. He's like, bad take. I tweet about the NHL. Look it up. So we're kind of having this banter, and then I walk away. The next time I come around the corner, he's got like a crew. There's a cameraman. There's like
he doing a
producer.
reality show?
And he's like, hey, Martin, how are you doing, buddy? Let's talk. And he starts interviewing me. And I said, are we live streaming? Nope. What else you got? Tell me a little. And I started talking about it. And I said, well, Chris, you've really matured over the years. And he's nodding at the camera. And there's a producer type guy kind of give me a sound like more, like keep going.
Like Stephen A. Smith and Dan Orlovsky's
He's like, keep
earpieces.
going. And then Pronger's like, what else you have to say? Any other stories? It was like Kramer's TV show. And I walked around like, what the hell was that? And so
Did you ever get an answer as to what the hell it
I
was?
texted later and I said, when will that air? I'm thinking,
where?
I'm thinking red carpet, let me know. And he just said, will do. That's all he said. I don't know.
So this guy's got a mystery reality show going on?
But then I looked
think
at
I'd
it.
watch.
You think he's like banking it?
I have no idea what it's for, where it's going. But
Was it Evergreen?
Yeah, I said I was there in Detroit, and I said, you collapsed. He goes, almost died, sir. And I said, that's correct, yes. So we were kind of recounting his St. Louis career. We told the story about the young reporter who asked him their Stanley Cup chances.
Great moment.
I say, can I bring? He goes, go ahead, share it with the audience. I don't know who the audience is. So I texted you guys because it had just happened. But I realize now it was really out of nowhere.
It was.
Rivers was Rivers will talk about it. We all witnessed Prongs now has kind of a TMZ entourage. It's bizarre.
I like that. Got to figure out what the hell he's got going on.
He won't really reveal.
Crestwood Coyote is not happy with those who are not happy that they couldn't find the game yesterday. Doug?
Well.
So I guess he's coming after you.
Yeah, he'll come after me.
He says it's only dumb Hoosiers and olds complaining. How to watch last night's game was posted on the socials weeks ahead of time. That's from the Crestwood Coyote.
Well, I don't remember what I saw on the socials weeks ago. I know last night I went to FanDuel thinking that's where most of the games are. And then I thought, oh, it's not there. And then I wept for a while. And then I got on one of the apps and it said ESPN Plus. So I went to ESPN Plus. Took me a while to get there. And then I found the game and it said blacked out. And then I cried a little bit more. And then I thought somewhere it said Disney Plus would have it. I went to Disney Plus. They didn't have it. And then I remembered, oh, wait, is this one of those Channel 4 games? So then I went to Channel 4 and it wasn't there either. And I thought, oh, no, it's on their digital channel. And then I found it on Channel 6 on Spectrum.
6.
So it took 15, 20 minutes or so.
It is an issue in the streaming world. I think Bill Maher was complaining about this. You cannot go from game to game. Let's say the Cardinals are on ESPN
That's
Plus,
right.
and then the Blues are on Victory Plus or Doug's channel. And you got to constantly, you cannot go in and out of your stream. You can't just go back and forth. Technology, Doug, I'm with you. Technology sucks.
Stop whining, you little bitches. Wow, my free hockey game was hard to find. That's from Will Clark's post-game bevy.
Oh, gosh.
And that was usually a Budweiser, by the way.
Everybody's a genius when someone else can't find something that they found.
Do you want to fight Will Clark's post-game bevy?
No, but I might kneecap him. It's just, if you've got it figured out and someone else doesn't, it makes you feel like a big shot to say, oh, you idiot, I knew where it was, and you didn't know. You're an idiot. Okay.
All politics are local, Doug.
Chairman Stephen Wildwood says, I said screw it and watched Murder TV and followed the game on my phone on ESPN. That's Chairman Steve.
Yeah. I even went to the STL Today app because they used to have that little section on what's on TV and where you can find the games on TV.
Is it called the Agate, Doug?
I couldn't find that. I don't know. I couldn't find that either. Wasn't on their app. Oh, I was hopping mad there for a while. All the while trying to do a fantasy baseball draft. You try to juggle these two balls in the air. It's not easy.
Yeah, it was great to have the Southside Seamen do what they did last night. And Charlie Marlowe rejoined the league, Martin.
Glorious.
Glorious return because Jackson exited the league. He felt like he was an embarrassment. Is that correct?
Left in disgrace.
Oh.
Yeah.
You did leave
Charlie
in disgrace?
Marlowe replaced Jackson in the TMA Fantasy Baseball League.
Yeah, now I'm managing a team in Korea.
Are you really?
You are taking
Yeah.
some time away.
Yeah, just getting right.
Now, as much as I pick on Chuck for mailing it in on the TV side for the last 6 years, when it comes to his fantasy baseball, I think he's locked in. So
He is.
yeah, I think you should fear
The
the
league
Chuckster.
got tougher with Jackson's exit and Charlie replacing him.
Oof. Humbling.
Well, there's
I mean, but you would agree with that.
But yeah, he's certainly a much more active owner.
Yes.
but there's so many teams. There's 16 teams. You get halfway through it and you're drafting players you don't know a whole
I know.
lot about.
That's why I lost the clubhouse in April last year.
Sharon and Clayton is not happy with the presentation. Look at Yahoo Sports. They always tell you where you can watch the game. It's very easy. That's from Sharon, and she's in Sanibel,
she's yelling at
Clayton,
me.
Maui, and then during the summer months, Michigan.
Okay, so I go to yahoo.com sports to find out where I can watch it on Channel 4.
Friend of the show, Dan
Okay.
O'Neill, was telling me yesterday, he said every game is ESPN Plus, and you pick,
And every game is blacked out
and you
on ESPN.
Is that true?
Yeah, if you're in St. Louis.
And he said you can pick which broadcast. So if you go to ESPN Plus, you could have the Montreal. Oh, wait, I guess they'd be blacked out too?
Parlez-vous français?
Yeah, you would get, if you were in the St. Louis region,
Even if it's the Montreal.
you'd be blacked out on ESPN Plus. If you were in Las Vegas, yeah, you could fire that up if you had the ESPN Plus.
So confusing.
Okay, it really is.
And then
I'm
John's
trying-
just going to get banged on for being old. It's
Oh,
not
yeah.
fair.
I
There's plenty
know.
of youngs out there who
Yeah.
struggled with it, I'm sure.
I'm trying to be more empathetic, just like Mr. Tim. I relate with your old man problems, Doug. Thanks, and hashtag free perk. That's from #1 Asian intern Brian Henshin, a.k.a. ASMR Ting Ting 2.0.
Okay.
We'll have a whisper recap of Mr. Martin's interview on the channel tonight. That's from Brian Henshin, and he's Fire Up CB Fire Up.
Okay. If you can't find a game when you're young, it's just because the game it's stupid what they did to the situation. If you can't find a game when you're old, it's because you're old and you're an idiot. That's how these people think.
And by these people, you mean
these people.
When can I change my text name? Last month I chose Doug's butt plug for a sentimental reminder of that one night of passion.
No.
But since the request had changed, I have not had one text read, and I've been on a heater with my wit.
You haven't.
Please change me back to the 573. That way I can claim a whole area code that's from the 573, but it's just a phone number.
Cherry bomb, smoke bombs with your moms.
He's unhappy with Jackson for not changing his name, I guess. The window opens up on Monday, right?
Window opens up Monday.
And that's the first week of the month. Jackson will change people who don't have their names saved in the Air Comfort Service text inbox.
Yeah, and I want to maybe emphasize something here. Just because you request a name doesn't mean it's automatic. Like if it's something awful, and not just in terms of like, oh, that wasn't funny. Like actually, like we can't read that in the air. It's don't get upset when it doesn't get changed to that.
I block
you know?
him. Blocking.
Like
You're judge and jury.
yeah, that's kind of my job to be, right? In a certain way.
I wasn't mad. I'm just pointing out.
No, I was just
This
emphasizing.
alliance is a disaster.
I know. Well, yeah,
Brussels next week. Let's talk.
we're going to Brussels.
Yeah.
What about Bruges?
Doug, what's going on now?
I don't know what there is to talk
Cities.
about.
Talking about cities in Belgium.
We're having a summit.
Yeah, we're
Jesse's invited.
We're going to Belgium.
We're having a summit.
All right, that sounds great.
Hey, guess where we're going to be tomorrow, Doug? Ballpark Village
Yeah.
for opening day. TMA Live, and we are at the Shark Bar. And that's where we'll be having libations throughout the course of the day. Oh, welcome to the Pony Show. 101 ESPN will be broadcasting live from inside Ballpark Village tomorrow for opening day. Cardinal home opener finally here. And we'll be set up just steps away from the stadium with TMA and BK and Ferrario coming to you live this Thursday from Ballpark Village. The opening day broadcast presented by General Pest Services, Rawlings, and Budweiser. So we will be down there at 7 o'clock doing our presentation, and then we'll just settle in and be enjoying some cold, frosty ones. How do you do?
Well, I'm fine, thanks.
Jackson, you going to pony up?
For a good long while. For a good long while. Yeah.
I'm going to call.
Well, I mean, so broadcast gets done at 11.
Try.
First pitch, 3:15.
Try.
Yeah, for that, I'd say till about 2 p.m. I'll be there just hanging out, enjoying myself, talking it over with the people.
What you finna drink?
Michelob Ultra, probably.
Sponsor of the YouTube chat where friends have gathered.
Indeed, and a delicious light beer, especially for like day drinking, outdoor drinking.
Yeah,
Pretty
it's 95
perfect.
calories and 2.6 grams of carbohydrates. I would tell you it's only worth it if you enjoy it, and you're going to enjoy it tomorrow, brother. You're going to enjoy it real nice. Like
Boy,
real
howdy, am I
nicely.
going to. I love opening day, but yeah, probably till about 2:30.
Okay.
You going to do that thing where you dance by yourself?
You always, if you start dancing by yourself, people can join. That's the
see.
thing. That's the thing. Sometimes you got to get the party started, be the fire starter.
Yeah.
Yeah, Prodigy, 97, I think.
Rainmaker.
Indeed.
Matt
So
Damon, also 97, maybe.
depends on
96.
the music,
Is John Voight in that? Or is that Kevin Spacey?
I don't know.
He was a Midnight Cowboy.
Yeah,
Joe
What
Buck.
it was.
different era. He was Joe Buck in that film.
Best picture.
Dustin Hoffman?
Crash,
Because Doug's such
2005 with Ludacris.
Doug is such a food Nazi. The Alliance and I were texting yesterday, and I've got them bringing by some ballpark food. Just so Doug.
Oh,
have you
Doug, you going to have that slinger hot dog? That'd be a nice way to
Probably
lay a
not.
base before you enjoy your Michelob Ultras.
One of them had some eggs in there. Maybe I was some
That's
eggs.
the one.
Yeah, the slinger
does
dog.
it? Okay.
Chili and
Fried
eggs.
Chili? Yeah, you can just lay a base.
Chili and fried eggs, probably have to pass on some of that.
Yeah, we got a whole new brand of sausages this year out in center field, Doug. Do you have any avocado toast? That's what's going to happen tomorrow.
Yeah, you're a bit of a dandy, aren't you?
They don't have a lot of health food for you at the stadium.
It's the
do they?
ballpark, Doug.
Clipping that off.
But don't you think people would buy something if it was
They got
healthy?
some. So like the friends of the show, Schnooks, has some like those grab and go things, the little kiosks where you can like grab some,
right.
and they have like little chicken salad, like or little wraps that you can just grab really easily.
better.
Yeah, and it's also great like buying some beers and stuff. Yeah, the little Schnooks kiosks have a lot of stuff there. But yeah, if you're going to the game, I don't know if you've been to Busch Stadium in a while. I would
have
say
been,
it's
yes.
Equinox Midwest.
What does that mean?
Equinox Midwest.
What does that
That's the new
mean?
Stadium name?
Equinox is like a bougie gym brand on the coasts.
What?
Equinox
Equinox,
Midwest.
it's
This
It's a
guy's
gym.
so Ledoux, he doesn't even know it.
Chairman, have you ever heard of Equinox?
Yeah, I have.
I don't think he has. He's just helping you out.
I think
He's
of like New
emotional
York.
over there, too.
I know,
for some reason.
right?
I think of like
Dick Ramil talking Wilbur Montgomery.
I think of New York when I hear Equinox.
Okay, yeah. L.A. and New York.
What did you say it is? A gym?
Yeah, it's like a bougie gym.
A health club, if you will.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like LA Fitness.
Yeah, it's not somewhere where you just go and, take a schwitz. It's, where you got to be seen.
Fits. That's even more to do.
All right, my reference just fell flat, and that's okay.
Albert Pujols used to go to the Life Fitness in Chesterfield during the off season. And he would a Lifetime, yeah. And he would go to the one on Clarkson, and people would say, "Is that?" And like, it's a huge place, but he'd be on the Stairmaster, and they'd say, "Is that?" And I'm like, "How does he not have one in the basement?" I swear, there were Albert sightings all the time at Lifetime Fitness.
Yeah, I've seen Jim Edmonds there and Andy Van Slyke and some of the other people. Senator Eric Schmidt.
At the Lifetime,
Yeah.
it's it's like a small
I think
city.
just going to the gym makes you work out.
Because if it's at home, you just don't do it.
Right. At least I don't. I got a lot of the stuff at home. I never do it.
What in the actual F are you talking about, Piddles? That's from my guy, the Great Bape Auto Detailing.
Welcome back. I explained it, I thought, pretty well. Busch Stadium is not a bougie gym that's on the coast.
Got it. Okay. So you're saying it's not.
Not.
That's what confused me.
I'm saying, yeah, it's not.
Okay. Mr. Licks, who is he old money, Doug?
I believe he would like us to think that he is, yeah.
Okay. He says there is zero chance Auntie Anne's is ready for the Hoosier onslaught on opening day. They needed to have started stockpiling pretzels 2 months ago. That's from Mr. Licks. There's going to be a Hoosier onslaught on pretzels
There's
at
like
Auntie Anne's?
a run on pretzels.
I'm going to say opening day is a little less Hoosier. I think you get a few more corporates, percentage-wise.
I'm a little concerned about the forecast, Doug. I hate to say that.
Yeah, there's been rain.
Have you seen that? We
Yeah.
got some, the next 4 days after today. Now, today is glorious. You really got to go out and compress the ball today. But tomorrow, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, all good percentages of rain. Now, that's the iPhone forecast, and I've been told by weather folk in my daily fantasy sports world that the iPhone forecast is one of the least accurate ones you can get. But right now, 60% chance of rain tomorrow, high of 68. So temperature-wise, can't argue with that. But don't want it to be rainy throughout the course of the
Yeah, that kind of ruins it. But this time of year, you never know what you're going to get.
What are you going to do, huh?
What are you going to do? Huh?
6:30 tonight, Doug. Cardinal Zone, half-hour special on the 2 Fox. You don't need an app. You don't need to stream it. Will you tune in? Would it kill you to tune in?
How will I find it?
Right there.
Channel
on 2
2
Fox.
is-
Yeah,
okay.
I'm excited to hear Tim's forecast because we're going to be outside tomorrow.
Oh, you're outside tomorrow?
Yeah,
Okay.
tomorrow.
Oh, you're outside all day tomorrow?
Well, tonight we're going to be at the Ballpark Village. I like that overhang as a TV backdrop, stadium behind us. But then tomorrow I'm going to be up at Chairman Steve's area, 1 Cardinal Way. Hiding from the rain.
Oh, okay.
And he said he's stopping by. I'm trying to get Chairman Moe to come by tomorrow on the 10 o'clock hour. Jackson, if you can clear the deck at the 10
Clear
o'clock
the
hour.
10 o'clock hour. Consider
What
it
do we
cleared.
have lined up on the Stiefel dossier for tomorrow, Jackson? Live from opening day, TMA at Ballpark Village, 101 ESPN from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Very excited that joining us in person, 9 o'clock tomorrow, Jared Carabas. Jared Carabas. It's a tough name to pronounce.
Sure it is, yeah.
You
It
want to
looks
say
like
you want to
Carabas.
say Carabas really bad, but it's Carabas. And he does multiple podcasts for Underdog. He used to be at Barstool. That's where he probably gained the most notoriety. But he does Baseball is Dead podcast and then a Section 10, which is a Red Sox podcast. He's a Boston guy. But he's going to be in town, and he's going to be stopping by the Deus tomorrow around 9 o'clock. Really excited to talk to him. We'll have the hospitality folks from Busch Stadium bringing by some slinger dogs for Doug. And then hopefully I've cleared the deck in the 10 o'clock hour for Mr. Mozeliak. Pobo.
There you go. Clearing the deck.
Nice.
We've also got to find a date for this fella.
Yeah,
Bachelor baseball.
Oh, yeah.
baseball.
When's he coming by? I'd hate to tell Mo we don't have time.
We got a bachelor.
We got a bachelor baseball going on.
I think he'd enjoy it. I think he'd settle in.
Sure.
He probably would.
Yeah.
It's his last year.
Yeah, he's the last year.
He's got the Chuck Marlowe feet up.
You can email into the program. It's the Design Air Heating and Cooling email today, the morning after at InsideSTL.com. Design Air is online at DesignAirService.com. Any heating and cooling issues you may have, work with the longest-running TMA sponsor, more than a decade now, Seth Goldcamp and his team working with TMA. Doug's a client. Martin's a client. I'm a client. You can become a client real easily by going going to designairservice.com. Any heating and cooling issues you may need, work with the 4th generation of Design Air Heating and Cooling, and that is Seth Goldcamp and his team online at designairservice.com, sponsor of our email of the day. It is 7:29 in St. Louis, and you are listening to TMA on 101 ESPN. Doug, why'd you request this one?
Because I like it. It's catchy.
Was this one written by an audience member? Or is this?
No, this is an old one. This was done by a real human,
It wasn't.
Real human.
not AI. And I'd say it's a banger.
Boy, Matt Holly did not like the Youngry song. I was kind of disappointed in it. It was kind of an old take, Doug. He was dismissive of the AI.
Did Holiday?
He was going to hang up.
I feel like he went country on his walk-up song.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Or no, Imagine Dragons for a while.
Okay. Radioactive.
I think that's correct, Jackson.
Yeah.
Is that 2014, Doug?
I don't know the years, Tim.
Ladies and gentlemen, this program is called The Morning After, and it is on 101 ESPN. It's presented to you by Brown and Crouppen, Tim McKernan, Doug Vaughn, Martin Kilcoyne, Jackson Burkett, Chairman Kurt with you. Taking your phone calls, 314-974-0101. Your texts at 314-399-9646. And your emails for the Design Air Heating and Cooling email today, The Morning After at InsideSTL.com. Plus, your comments in the YouTube chat. Jackson, what do you have to do? There was a lot of anger about a red screen.
Yeah.
Doug,
So
why, was that like to get people fired up for
I
the
think
upcoming?
it probably was.
It
yeah.
looked like the elevator in The Shining. So sometimes that'll happen on our software over here. So all you got to do is just a soft restart, but it didn't end the stream or anything. So people who are already in the YouTube live stream didn't have to go anywhere. And now it's back and we're fixed.
Turn
So-
it off, turn it back on.
Pretty much, yeah. So apologies for any buffering that was going on in the break, but it's better to take care of that than us freeze up in the middle of a wonderful sports take or a conversation with Jamie Rivers or the surprise line guest. You know,
Yeah, that's your Stiefel dossier. Jamie Rivers, 8:15. And then a surprise guest at 9 o'clock. Doug, you want to guess who the surprise guest is? Martin didn't even tell Jackson today.
He said it's relevant. Was that the clue?
That was the clue.
Relevant.
Yeah.
So someone with the Cardinals.
I don't know. I mean, Tim said hockey.
Could
You
we have
said baseball.
some initials?
No, I don't think we can do that.
Doggone it.
Sorry. See, I think this is where Jackson could crack, so you're better off not knowing.
You think this is right here? I'd full under questioning.
Give off a towel.
Yeah. We're in a commercial break. Marshall Falk had a knee injury, and we're doing the show. And I said, but you can tell me. Like, we're in the break. He's like, no. As soon as you know, your boss is going to say, what do you know? And then if you do know, you're going to lie to your boss? I'm like, well, yeah, I would. He's like, you're better off if I don't tell you.
That's true in some cases.
Yeah. Can I just tweet it?
Percy Blumpkin says, thank you, Jackson.
No thanks necessary. Just doing my job.
Thank you for the buffering update.
Well, probably just restarting it. But
Okay.
again, I don't need thanks.
I
for
think
that.
Jackson looks bubbly today. You see him, like some days you see him a little down right out of the gate, but today I feel like you're on your game. You're kind of feeling good.
What's
thanks,
going
Martin.
on with you?
Nice.
You've had a few days to get over the Mizzou loss.
Think that's what it is?
Yeah.
Now you just brought it up and you're going to bring
boy.
it down.
No, I'm over it. I don't know. Some days you just wake up with a little more pep in your step.
Yeah.
A little bit more, feel a little more vivacious. Is that a word that could be used there?
Yeah, I guess it could.
Jackson appeared on the Spread Zone yesterday with me and Riz from the Riz Show, Anthony Stalter, and we did two different editions. Jackson was on the college basketball one for the upcoming Sweet 16 festivities, and then we did one for Major League Baseball and season prop bets. Jackson, you abstained from appearing on that one, though. You said, no, that's not my... Doug, do you like this term, bailiwick?
Bailiwick, I like it. Yeah.
Much like Dennis Rodman, I know my role. You know, some days it's going out there and getting 14 boards and no points, and that's okay. You know, knowing your role is important.
Did you ever have 14 rebounds in one game?
Probably when I was younger.
Wow.
Was it at the high school level?
No.
Oh, okay, sorry.
No, I was not getting 14 boards at 6 foot, nothing.
14 minutes.
Yeah, geez, that would have been a miracle. No, but, know your role. I don't know. I like watching the Cardinals, but I don't know much about a lot of the other teams. So I feel like I have some expertise when it comes to college hoop rock. Mm-hmm. But
He was dropping a lot of knowledge.
Oh, was he really?
But not when it comes to baseball.
Do you just go full Nell and just wave them off, or do you say, I'm going to sit this out?
We recorded the March Madness one, the Sweet 16 one, and then Riz said, all right, we're going to do the baseball one. And I stood up, grabbed my laptop, and
Said, I'll see you,
boys.
boys.
Turned, reared, and
Yeah.
exited.
I'll see you, boys.
Yeah, and I didn't need to be told you're not on this. I knew,
Right.
And I don't fault anybody.
Seems like you're mad as a hornet.
No.
Kind of like a McGreevy start where you pitch like 7 2-hit, shutout innings, and you just pack your bag and go back to Memphis.
Right
You
to
just
Memphis.
know exactly
the bus is
what's-
waiting for
yeah.
me. Yeah, that's kind of that's not how it felt. I knew my role.
You can watch the latest edition of the Spread Zone. That's on the TMA YouTube channel. Also on the
yes,
Riz
so
Show,
both
105.7 The Point.
Yeah, so both the opening day and the Sweet 16 one are on the 101 and TMA STL YouTube channels.
There you go. The MLB prop bet one. The one that stands out to me that I absolutely love is the Dodgers win total at 100.5, which I know sounds ridiculous to have a win total bet over 100 wins because that is so rare. They're just so damn good, and I like large sample size bets. And 162 games certainly would fall into that category, both with the rotation and the lineup. I think you're going to see the Dodgers make a run at the 2001 Mariners regular season win total. So 100.5 strikes me as absurdly low, even though on the outside looking in, taking anybody to win more than 100 games would be usually considered quite square. But
Yeah,
I think we're going to look
last
at
year.
history.
Yeah. Dodgers won 98 last year. It's the most in baseball.
Got even better in the offseason.
Yeah. It's tough to do, but they certainly have the team to win about 115.
Suppose the Mookie Betts situation is something to keep an eye on, although he, according to Dave Roberts, has improved. Did you wind up taking him last night? in
No,
the,
he was
team?
gone
He was
before
gone
my turn came.
Would you have taken him?
Probably would have.
That's your guy. He's always
And he
on Doug's
plays a
team.
bunch of positions.
Right.
That's
second,
right. That's
second
right.
short, outfield.
Yeah, that's the key.
For the record, the odds to win the World Series, the Dodgers, of course, the favorite at plus 230. Cardinals are at plus 13,000 to win the World Series. Doug, if you're interested in firing a bet on that. If you think this might be the Rockies year, put $100 down and they'll hand you $50,000 sometime in early November.
Okay.
But what about the St. Louis Blues and the odds there? Because now there's a little buzz around North America about the St. Louis Blues. Now, just to make the playoffs, The Blues now are a favorite mathematically to make the playoffs. Yesterday they were plus 110 at this time to make the playoffs. Now they are minus 130. So you got about 130 to win 100 for the Blues to make the playoffs. Doug, would you lay that down?
I would, because they're about 98% chance of making the
therefore,
playoffs.
mathematically,
it'd be a good deal. Yeah. Mm-hmm. They're going to do it.
So you feel like you have a fiduciary responsibility to your family and your heirs and heiresses to bet, what would you say,
everything.
10K?
Oh, clear
everything.
out the 401ks before I pay taxes on it and everything.
that's the right move.
So I could really get myself in some trouble if things fall apart.
Well, you got Milty in your back pocket, too, in case there's anything
And then you
illegal.
can do this show for another 25 years.
Yeah, the last couple from prison.
Yeah, I'm here to do a site check. Doug, Tony's knocking on the prison door.
I just don't have time for jail. I just don't.
Gotta run some cable. Tim, by the way, since the break, now you know that the Blues are 13-2-2. What do you think the cumulative score is in those 17 games?
God. All right.
We had fun with math the other day.
I enjoy fun with math. I don't know the answer. Okay. So I am going to... Doug, I want to get this right.
You got a workshop.
Okay.
17 games.
Just a little bit of math.
They've won 13.
I'm going to go...
Lost 2 in overtime. Shoot out.
58-22.
Okay. I'm going to...
I like that tune.
What are we guessing again? The cumulative score. I'm going to say 60.
We'll start with how many they've scored and how many they've given up.
I'll say 65 to 28.
Doug was closer. They have outscored their opponents 70-38.
Sweet,
isn't that unbelievable? They're averaging more than 4 a game.
That's what I was using for my ballpark.
It's unbelievable. Just this 7-game winning streak. Not to read like Francesa. Who was it? DeGrom's outings. But just the 7-game winning streak. 5-1, 7-2, 4-1, 4-3 overtime. 4-1, 4-1, 6-1. I mean, it's just unbelievable. They're 32.
You win with that kind of offense or that kind of defense. And they're getting them both.
And now the expectation is that they're going to the play. Not just your 98%, but I think around town.
Yes,
be a
right.
massive letdown if we expect you in the postseason.
I ran into Obie Clark's last night and saw Jakey Big Mistakey, great American, wonderful people for longtime TMA listeners. You would be familiar with him. And he was on his way down to the Blues game, and he said, man, if they win tonight, I almost expect them to get into the playoffs. And again, that's where the math is. They are now plus 5,000 to win the Stanley Cup. It is March 26th, a week ago. The Blues were plus 17,500 to win the Stanley Cup. That is how much it has dropped because I bet it last week and then I bet it again. And now it is down to plus 5,000. Just to give you some context on that, the Calgary Flames, the team that, still could get there and the Blues might be on the outside looking in. Of course, at this moment, that looks unlikely, but the Flames are at plus 12,500. So it gives you an indication of how much the Blues have surged and also the viewpoint from Las Vegas on their legitimate chances. The Canucks are at plus 15,000. So that is the view from Las Vegas. I thought this was really an interesting comment. Don't hear these kinds of observations all that often, but Jim Montgomery last night following the win, and it wasn't just a win. I mean, they could have won that thing by even more than they did. I realize Montreal hit the post a few times, but offensively the Blues had some opportunities that they were not able to convert and still able to put up 6. But Montgomery said he knew earlier in the day that the Blues were going to win that game.
I got to be honest, the way we practiced in a morning skate, I don't put usually much into the morning skate. We had a day off, and I could see we really had juice. I thought it was the crispest, and I remember Jimmy Johnson with the Dallas Cowboys once. They were getting ready to play in the NFC Championship against the 49ers. And he said, after they practiced so well, he goes, we're going to be really good tomorrow. And they blew the 49ers out. I just had that feeling that we were going to be really good tonight. And that first 30 minutes of the game is probably the best hockey we've played all year.
How about that? Dominating.
Yeah.
I mean, it was dominating.
Well, I think they're going to have 2 tough games Thursday and Saturday. They got to go to Nashville tomorrow night, coming off that game Sunday where there's a lot of fighting and the Predators don't have much to play for except to try to send a message to the Blues. They've already beaten them. The Blues have beaten Nashville 3 in a row, 4 in a row would be tough. Then they got to go to Colorado, which is never easy. So these next 2 games, I think, are going to be tough.
Well, to be the man, you got to beat the man. And baby, I am the man. Rolex time, 24 hours. Cameron, it's been your pleasure. And at this point, I don't know if these boys are intimidated by a damn thing.
Yeah. No, I don't think they're intimidated. I just think Nashville will be loaded for bear.
You think it's going to be scrappy tomorrow?
I think it will be.
I think you could be right on that.
Yeah.
Blues might be ready to scrap. How about the fact that the first goal was set up by Holloway with the hit? I mean, that's what kept the puck in the zone. And as it turns out, as he said in the postgame, that he got laid out on the previous shift, and he said the Canadiens bench was chirping him, and so he wanted to send a message, and he just like splatters the guy up against the boards, and then that leads to the opportunity for Kyrou. I mean, this Holloway Broberg thing, we were talking about it earlier in the year, and then Broberg kind of fell off after the first 15 games or so. He had the injury. But my God, I mean, we were talking about it even during the off season. It was a big topic just because of the chess-like move to corner the Oilers. But now as these guys continue to produce, it is just something else to see.
Broberg had 4 points last night.
Yeah, how about that?
They had 10 different players score points. The Blues did.
Take your shirt off. How about that?
Well, I wasn't counting that. And the ice time is pretty much spread out. It's not like the fourth line's playing 7 or 8 minutes a game. They play almost as much as everybody else, darn near. And so that's got to help, too, that your top guys aren't exhausted. And your fourth line also feels like they're contributing and playing a lot, so they're staying sharp. So everything's clicking on all cylinders right now. You can't play much better than they're playing.
And I keep thinking of the Cardinals, looking at the Blues, saying this is how you do it. Your first-round picks have to hit. Jake Neighbors was not high in the first round, but he's still a first-round pick. Bolduc, first-round pick. Those guys have to produce. That's where the Cardinals are right now, trying to figure out, Gorman, Walker, are these guys going to become legit big leaguers? The Blues have hit on those. And then also, not just throwing crazy money around, but also just being smart. The moves with Edmonton to steal those 2 players, it was savvy, and I guess at the time maybe unpopular in the league. But Tom Stillman at the beginning of the year, I asked him about it. He said, well, there's no rule against it. We're trying to win. And I was like, absolutely. Because there was some buzz like, oh, you're not really supposed to do that because it hadn't been done in a long time.
Unwritten rule.
Yeah, and Stillman said, there's no rule against it. Sorry. And I love that.
I loved Armstrong's press conference when he would say he would do it to his own mother.
Right.
And she does not have it coming.
I'm all for it.
And she's over the cap, so she had it.
But we don't really know how close they came to trading Braden Shin right before the trade deadline. There was a lot of talk that, they're going to try to move the captain.
And I think they did. I think they tried to, and he didn't want to go. And I understand the Blues not publicizing that for a wide variety of reasons. And again, I just feel obligated to say it. This is all happening without the guy that I think most people would have told you when he went out was the team's most valuable player.
Mm-hmm. So now the question is, who do you sit when he comes back? Somebody. But nobody deserves it. They're all playing extremely well right now. One thing we found out with Parayko gone is that Tyler Tucker can play.
Yeah.
He's a player. Scrappy, physical. He does everything you'd want him to do.
And he gets a lot of shots every game. Even if he's not scoring, gets a lot of shots. I heard Holloway in that postgame as well, saying he'd gotten away from hitting, that he did a lot more of it last year. He said last year he got away from it, so he was trying to bring that back to his game. He's an emerging star because he's got a good personality. He can, if he starts laying out hits and scoring, Blues fans love that. And if you had to vote on the MVP by the end of the year, it might be Robert Thomas, but you could say, I don't know, what about Holloway? I mean, there's no clear-cut MVP. Just for a minute, it was Parayko.
I think Nathan Walker is making a lot of fans.
Yeah, he'll
fight anybody. He's 5'9", 187. He was trying to fight somebody last night. He looked like he's about 6'4", 220. Walker wanted a piece of him.
I got to tell you, I don't know if he's 5'9". I was down there yesterday, he's walking in. I'm like, how does this guy do it? People love that, too.
Yeah, people love Nathan Walker. It is 7:51 in St. Louis. Tim McKernan, Doug Vaughn, Martin Kilcoyne with you here on the program. Jackson's typing away over there. What are you typing? You typing a love letter? Is that why you're in such good spirits?
It's like a stenographer over here.
I was just working, doing the work.
So vague, Doug, on such an easy question.
I was trying to pull the audio of from the song where the guy says Braden Sheen.
That's what you've been doing over there, is it?
Braden Sheen.
I
Did
found
he
it.
need it because it rhymes with Steen?
You guys are talking Braden Shen, so
Braden Sheen.
I figured they'd be kind of
And when
fun.
you rattled off the 11 Blues players off the top of your head, the one you
Yes.
forgot was Sheen. the
Multiple. I also forgot my guy, Alexei Torpchenko.
Yeah.
But, not bad.
Not bad.
Listen, people think I don't know puck.
Yeah.
Au contraire.
Boy, you certainly do.
I sit here 20 plus hours a week and retain
Just
22%
absorbing
of the information that you guys talk about.
Yeah.
And so I'm able to spit it and regurgitate it.
And so you had Sheen ready for...
Braden Sheen.
Yeah. Feel pretty good about it. Pretty fulfilling work there.
Well, they don't give these jobs to just anybody.
That's right.
Thank you, Martin,
Most
for
couldn't
saying
handle
that.
It's got to be people who are willing to do the work.
Put it in. Yeah, put in the work.
Oh, shit. Will you work for a gift card?
I did have
For sure,
conversations
free $7 gift card.
just like that in my first year, my rookie year.
Your rookie year.
Yeah.
You're on a rookie contract.
Yeah, two-way.
Harrison's brother, Master, is not happy with the program. That's kind of been his brand, Martin, for about, I feel like about 8 years. He says, I love the Blues talk, especially because Jackson doesn't talk. That's from Harrison's brother, Master. He was celebrating Missouri's loss last week because he said there was too much Missouri basketball talk. And Jackson, now he likes the Blues talk because then there's that balance that shifts because you're not going to participate in the conversation.
Listen, whatever blows your hair back. It doesn't bother me.
You oftentimes release a Mount Rushmore of your least favorite texters
That's
or
right.
callers. Harrison's brother, Master Martin, has been the George Washington, I think, for Jackson. Here is an updated list of Jackson's Mount Rushmore of least beloved texters / callers into the morning after.
This list is probably better next week. After a week of putting in text names, I'll really have a solid answer there. Harrison's brother Master remains in there.
George Washington?
Yeah, for sure.
Blocking.
St. Charles Hermaphrodite is kind of a...
And he's the one who says you sleep with a Frank body pillow?
Yeah, that might have been the person who perpetuated. The guy who keeps calling me or Chairman Piglet. I don't know, one of the two. Or himself is Piglet. I don't know, but he's on there.
Do you ever call yourself Piglet?
Not lately, I haven't.
I think he signs in as Piglet, but calls you guys Piglet.
Yeah,
which
all I know is Kerry Davis has a wonderful text exchange going with him in the afternoons. that's my entertainment.
Piglet made it very clear he's Diamondback. One of us is the Piglet.
Oh, okay.
All right,
so
then
you guys,
Diamondback.
you labeled him as Piglet. It's kind of
Jackson,
like
did you call him Piglet?
I can't remember. There's like 1,000 text names in there. I can't remember if he probably said, give me Piglet or something. I don't know.
Give me Piglet or give me death.
I don't just randomly assign people text names. And then whoever that the possible burner guy is, because he's always
You have a bunch labeled as possible burner.
is American Dream possible burner. Maybe?
Dusty Rhodes. Yeah, I think American Dream is
But
possible
I don't think
burner.
he's a bad texter. Let me work on that fourth one. And again, I'll give an
so it's
updated
open.
list
That
next
fourth
week.
slot is open.
Next week I'll give an updated list because I'll be scouring the text inbox. Usually during the show, I'm kind of sparsely checking it.
Jackson has free tickets to Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals, Blues versus Washington, or Game 1 of the NBA Finals, Celtics versus OKC. What would he choose?
Come
That's
on
from
now.
the 618.
Come on now.
If I'm hold on,
You already got your answer, Doug. We don't even need to.
Gosh.
if it's like courtside, Celtics Thunder, there's nothing in this world that would stop me from doing that.
What if Ella Reese and Abigail Mack said, hey, I'd like to see what the word is?
I'd say, can you record it? That's kind of where I'd be at. Like, because sitting courtside an NBA game is a bucket list dream of mine.
NBA exhibition game versus Blues deciding playoff game.
Blues deciding playoff game.
Look at that, Martin. That was a breakthrough
go.
moment.
But yeah, if it's courtside, that's numero uno.
Exhibition Bradley Beal versus Jason Tatum next October in St. Louis.
That's going to be cool. It's going to be cool. Both those, Brad Beal's got to still be on the Suns, I guess.
256 friends gathered in the YouTube chat, which was sponsored by Michelob Ultra. It's youtube.com/TMA STL. That's where you can watch the program. And, of course, you can listen to it on the Dobbs Tire and Auto Center's 101 ESPN app. And there is also a TMA STL app. We're heading down the stretch here in the month of March. And you can join Pestis from Festus. And who won in February is the
The
listener month?
YouTube chat.
The YouTube chat.
Formerly Joey Vitale's Orange
Or
Scully.
That's right. You can be the TMA listener of the month, which makes you eligible to be the TMA Listener of the Year at the year-end awards. That is at tmastl.com. That's how you can sign up for that. And we vote in our TMA Papal Conclave on March 31st. Just go to tmastl.com to sign up. You can keep your anonymity. Doug disagrees with that.
Yeah.
But the listeners can keep their anonymity and sign up to be the TMA Listener of the Month at tmastl.com. Our phone lines are brought to you by Callier and Thompson, 314-974-0101. And Doug, you can tell us a little something about Callier and Thompson, can't you?
I can, because I've been there a few times, and I bought a microwave oven from there a couple of weeks ago. They have all kinds of appliances, high-end appliances, but they've also got some for the budget-minded. That was me, of course. Stacy is the appliance manager. He sells nothing but high-quality appliances, does a fantastic job. The whole bottom floor of the store is dedicated to appliances. They've got the very latest and greatest out there. If you're going to redo your kitchen, you don't have to do the entire kitchen, because that can be a bit much if you're not ready for that or don't have the budget for it. But you can just replace an appliance or two, and it kind of feels like you got a new kitchen. Callier and Thompson can do everything for your kitchen, your bathroom. You want to redo the basement, you want to finish the basement, any part of your home that needs a little upgrade, needs a little help. It's looking old, it's looking tired. Callier and Thompson can step in and get the job done. Bob Strati and Carolyn Beard have been the owners there for many years. The place has been in business since the 1950s. They're not going to be the cheapest around, not going to be the most expensive either. They're right there in the sweet spot where they do outstanding work at a great price. They do kitchens, bathrooms, basements, wine rooms, man caves, bars, accent rooms, fireplace walls, you name it. If you've got a need in your house to get an upgrade, Callier and Thompson is the place you need to go. They got a very deep showroom, more than 10,000 square feet, lots of kitchen displays for you to go there and get some ideas and turn your home into a showplace. It's a place you can trust, too. Been around a long time. They hire only the best people. It's just the place to go when your home needs a little pick-me-up. Callier and Thompson's on Manchester and Bowen, next to Uncle Bill's Pancake House. Come home to quality online at CallierandThompson.com.
There it is. Callier and Thompson, phone line sponsor here on TMA. And Jamie Rivers is going to be joining us coming up at 9:15 on the Callier and 8:15 on the Callier and Thompson phone lines. 9:15 for those of you enjoying the program from Lower Manhattan this morning. As it turns out, that is
Quite a few.
that's a big.
My buddy Herb.
Herb is listening from Lower Manhattan as we speak.
What's he doing there?
Is that
lives
the
there.
Equinox? Work it out?
Lives there.
No, he's at the
The pickleball guy.
Exactly right. Email in the morning after at InsideSTL.com and participate in the YouTube chat, which is brought to you by Michelob Ultra with all of the friends who've gathered at YouTube.com/TMASTL. This is the morning after, presented to you by Brown and Crouppen on 101 ESPN.
This is a Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Blues win last night. Make that 7 in a row for the note, 6-1 over the Montreal Canadiens. Off today, back in action tomorrow as they take on the Nashville Predators in Nashville. You can catch that game right here on 101 ESPN. Pre-game at 6 p.m., puck drop at 7 p.m. That was another Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. CinemaLondoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
Doug, Runaround Sue?
Yep.
I believe that's right. Yeah.
And what led to this selection on Wednesday, March 26th in St. Louis?
Well, it's a great question there, Tim. Runaround Sue is used in one of the montage scenes in Little Big League, one of the many montage scenes, one of my favorite baseball montage scenes in the movie. Who is the Little Big League about? The Minnesota Twins. Who the Cardinals play tomorrow? The Minnesota Twins. Mm-hmm.
Was the Rookie a twin, Minnesota Twin?
Rookie?
Movie, The Rookie?
No, is
That was
Detroit?
Dennis Quaid?
No, I'm thinking of what's the Costner
What was
at
that?
the
There was a
last
kid
game?
one.
The Perfect Game or
For
Perfect
the love of the game? For the love of the
For the
game?
love of the game?
Yeah, that was Detroit, right?
Detroit.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but there was a
I think
Rookie?
the Quaid one was the Rays.
That's correct, I think, Chairman.
And didn't Kenny Powers also pitch for the Rays? a
He pitched
fictional
for a
team.
club in Myrtle Beach.
Well, that later.
He also had a stint in Mexico.
Yeah,
La Flama Blanca.
that's right. May he forever reign.
Little Big League,
93? Four. Damn. Good
budget
year.
of $20 million, box office of 12.
Really? That's all.
Not enough people. Its DVD and Blockbuster run must have been insane.
Yeah.
I think it probably made so much after the fact.
Tim, are you taking questions?
I am. Doug is not, however.
No, thank you.
Great topic. Frank Cusimano brought this up yesterday. We're in the bowels at Enterprise Center awaiting puck drop and a lot of journalism in between. A lot of Joey Vitale banter as well. I brought up Sidney Crosby, which is my fault.
Oh, no.
And then he told us a story about Sid. It actually was a pretty good story. He goes, "You going to be there Friday? We'll talk some more Friday." He looks forward to those Friday visits. He said, he goes, "You're either not there or you don't chime in very much." And I said, very hurt. But we're standing there, and he and Frank are critiquing each other's wardrobe. That's what they like to do. And Joey said,
By they, you mean the Italians.
a little of an Italian thing. Joey said to Frank, "I like that sport coat." He goes, "But at your age, you should go solids." And I'm like, wow, fashion critique. But Frank brought up the topic. He said, "Is this the first time that you can remember on opening day?" And it's the 10 o'clock sports. Doug, you'll have to decide this tomorrow night as well.
I won't have to.
10 o'clock sports.
Oh, wow.
What's the top story? And Frank said, "Isn't it the Blues at this point over opening day and the Cardinals?"
Wow.
And I said, here's my kind of like back way of getting out of it. You'll do a news hit at like top of the show. "Hey, Cardinals, how about that opening day? They're still undefeated." And then later in sports, Blues go first. But he said, can you imagine an opening day in St. Louis where the Blues are the top story? And
No, I can't.
Okay.
I think it's
Doug,
always
what would you lead with?
Cardinals. It's
Why
not
do you hate the
necessarily-
Blues
it's
like
not
Jackson?
necessarily- That's where my interest is right at this particular moment. But the Cardinals have so much bigger of a following than the Blues do. They just
My
do.
goodness. Call in 314-974-0101. I can't believe it. Jackson, are you stunned to hear it?
That'll do it. Back to you, Steve.
Yes. No.
Everyone
What's going on right now?
Maybe.
Everybody in town will know that the Cardinals have opening day on Thursday. Everyone will know about it. There'll be many people who won't even know that the Blues are playing. As much as we love the Blues, there'll be a lot of them that won't even know that the Blues are
So
playing.
you hate Frank's question?
I don't hate the question. The answer is the Cardinals.
As much as I feel strongly about our alliance, Martin, I am going to side with Doug on this one.
Okay. Well, you're allowed. You know, this is not a dictatorship.
No, I know, but Doug is a seasoned vet. You know, he sees the game differently. He's the Tex Winter of local sports.
The Tex winner.
I like that. Yeah.
You're running a triangle show, are you? Triangle rundown for the Fort Fox?
Yeah.
I think you might be right, but it's a great debate because if the Blues win an 8th in a row, they're just on fire.
Now, if it was a Blues playoff game,
Okay.
you might have more of an argument.
I can tell you this, it is not a well-received answer in the Air Comfort Service text inbox. The Blues are currently the most popular team in town. Binner is the most popular St. Louis athlete. The Cardinals are ass.
No.
That's from Eric, and he is in the central West End, and Jackson finds him attractive, but he wants it clear he's not attracted to him.
Okay. Well, if you're a hardcore hockey fan, you're going to think Blues all the way. But if you're looking at it objectively, we're still a bigger baseball town than hockey town. Even when the Cardinals are struggling.
Really?
Yeah.
Mo's like, I'd lead with the Blues. Why don't? Does it depend on the outcome? What if they get hammered and Sonny Gray gets lit up and they say, let's just go Blues? You know, rights holding, you kind of bury it.
No. The lead is still the Cardinals. Baseball's here.
Do a trip around the NHL before we get to opening day.
No.
Battlehawks open up on Friday. We'll get to the Cardinals in a little bit. Sonny Gray gave up 4 homers. We'll get to that a little later if we have time. Then you get a Slurpee at the end of the sportscast.
Well, I would
Larry
like one of
Connors
those.
hands you a Slurpee.
Frank, do you like chocolate bunnies?
Cardinal baseballs for someone who wanders around a nursing home late at night looking for who's stolen her dentures. That's from the 703. The 703.
A denture heist would be you'd be behind the 8 ball, wouldn't you? If you woke up and that glass of water
You'd be on liquid food.
you didn't have your teeth next to you.
You can have pudding.
Yeah, but then you're walking around gumming everybody.
Do you see anyone wearing Blues gear around St. Louis right now? The answer is no. That's from the Hunchback of Von Castle. He's on Doug's side.
I do. I see people wearing blue stuff all the time.
I'm wearing it right now. Get out of here with that.
Yeah, look at that. And a sharp one at that.
The Blues have a hardcore fan base. There's no question about that. A diehard, hardcore fan base. And they always have. For 50-some-odd years, however long they've been playing here, they've had that fan base. But the Cardinals just have a larger fan base.
I'm with you.
And it's been that way forever. It may change someday if the Cardinals go on an extended run of poor play where they're not a contender and the Blues are very good. Could change. But right now, it's still, first and foremost, it's still a Cardinal town more so than the Blues.
So what are you going to do tomorrow, Martin? What are you going to do with your sportscast, Martin?
Now I hear Doug in my head saying, what are you doing? Cardinals, Cardinals, Cardinals. I think Cardinals is probably the answer, but I honestly want to see how the day plays out. If the Blues win like a thriller and it's 8 in a row, or if there's a big old fight at the beginning and the Cardinals are flat, I kind of want to see how the Cardinal game plays out. But it is opening day. There's only one of those. There are 82 regular season
One
games.
argument you could make, if you're talking about the 10 o'clock show, is the Blues game will have just ended. So it's a little bit more current than a Cardinal game that will have been over 3 hours.
You always want to keep it fresh.
Yes, you certainly do.
We always get producers say, let's freshen it up.
There might be some people at 10 who not really sure what happened to the Blues, but they'll all know what happened to the Cardinals by 10 o'clock.
The mayor, Mo Drummond, sent back some interviews from Seattle, that Sunday night game when they lost in 2010 to end the season. And he's getting on the team plane, but first they send back all these interviews. So we get them at, midnight on a Sunday. So we have it all for the next day. Season-ending loss. He lands with the team there at Rams Park at like 5 a.m. And the morning producer said, can you grab some fresh sound for today? And he said, I just talked to these guys before we got on the plane. They said, yeah, but we're looking for something even more fresh. I'm like, well, that hasn't even run yet.
Spoken by someone who's never left the building in
Can
their
you
life.
imagine the parking lot at Rams Park? It's 5 a.m. They just flew back from Seattle in the middle of the night. The season ended. Hey, Sam Bradford, before you get in your nice car, can we talk to you real quick?
Again?
Can you imagine? And I'm like, it's fresh enough.
So did he just tell him no, I hope?
I think he said we're good.
No.
You can get involved on this program. Jamie Rivers is going to join us coming up on the Stiefel dossier here in a matter of minutes. That's coming up at 8:15. The program is presented to you by Brown and Crouppen. Brown and Crouppen Local, founded in 1979. And don't you want a local law firm if you are in need of a personal injury attorney? They offer superior legal services. Terry Crouppen in yesterday. You'll hear Andy Crouppen and Ed Herman of Brown and Crouppen on the program as well. They are the presenting sponsor of TMA, and the name of the game for the show, being around for 21 years, is supporting the sponsors. Love the show, support the sponsors. Brown and Crouppen online at brownandcrouppen.com or call 314-222-2222 or go to brownandcrouppen.com and make sure you let them know you heard about it on TMA. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertising. Past results are no guarantee of future results, and every case is different and must be judged on its own accord. Jackson Burkett, you've got the C on your sweater. We're just wearing wearing A's over here. Should we break now, or should break? Because I know Jamie likes to hit that 8:15 at 8:15, so we can do that.
Yeah, we're gonna break. Let's break.
Wow, this guy's—that's why he's got the C on his sweater, Doug.
Yeah, I know.
He's a leader.
Hello, Cappy.
Leader of men.
Jamie Rivers next here on TMA. TMA 101 ESPN and the TMA STL YouTube channel. YouTube.com/TMA STL is where you can gather with Vintage Damon, Too Fat to Kayak, Brandon Baker, Professor Roy Hinckley, and Bill's Holes. Doug, they're all in there.
I love the name Vintage Damon. That's funny.
That's where you can watch the program, and the YouTube chat is brought to you by Michelob Ultra. Jamie Rivers with us here in the Fisher Window and Door Store, 8 o'clock hour. Morning, Jamie.
Hey, Hey, boys, how we doing today?
We're fine.
We are wonderful, sir. And how about what Montgomery said following the game last night? The first 30 minutes of last night's win against the Canadiens, he thought was the best hockey he has seen from this team this season. What do you think?
Guys, I didn't know what to expect. You come off a couple of games with the Chicago-Nashville games and wins, and it's tough to sit there and be critical of 2 wins that equal 8-2 in goals for versus goals against. But there were pockets of both of those games where you're like, I don't know, man. Like it's not your best hockey. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't your best. So I'm not gonna lie, it was going into last night, even with Andy Strickland talking with Strick before the game, I was like, I hope they recapture the way they were playing before those games, because, this is a Montreal team that's hungry coming in here, and they didn't disappoint. They were on their toes, man, going. I mean, Montreal was smothered in that at the first period. Monty says the first 30 minutes, but the first period, Montreal couldn't get anything going. The Blues were attacking. It's just wild to watch this team be so tenacious out there. There's nowhere to go for the other team to create any kind of momentum, any offense, generate any kind of flow to their game. They're just defending or on their heels the entire time, and it's miraculous. That's a big word, I know, to see what has transpired here with this team that was, kind of inconsistent. I mean, hell, let's be honest. They couldn't put together 3 wins in a row for the entire season. And here they are, they managed to put 4 wins in a row, and now they've put 7 wins in a row together. So it's pretty awesome to see what's happening.
Our audience, Doug, I think sometimes underrates them, calling a group of perverts, but they're so locked in. The first text I see here is the Blues have been on fire ever since Monty grabbed Jamie's ass. That's what started all of this. And then making an observation that Coach really got a handful of it last night. Do you see any correlation with the team's play and what's been going on behind the bench?
Certainly. The audience are very perceptive as to what they catch, in the on the cameras. But all I know is that I think the coach's hands were a little cold, and he just wanted to warm them up a little bit. And since that point, I think it's certainly caught on. We'll just leave it at that.
Nice. Sounds like a little tradition. It's like what Vitale said about that Crosby story. It might be a superstition. And
Can't stop.
You might be behind that bench for a good long while, Jamie.
Yeah, guys, if I have to, if this behind has to sacrifice to the good of the St. Louis Blues and the city of St. Louis, I'm ready to do it.
Oh, for heaven's sakes.
There you go.
He
needs to see on his sweater.
Do the coaches ever get annoyed when you interview them there, like during a timeout? I know they're good sports about it, but do they ever say, "Oh, not right now"?
No, I'll tell you this. Every one of them that I've worked with, so Craig Berube first, Drew Bannister, and now Jim Montgomery, they've been true professionals. And it's nice because, let's be honest, guys, it's a weird feeling to be crawling around a bench. Let me walk you through it for a second. I've got that little area that I sit in between the benches, and there's a door. There's another thing you have to move. The trainers have to move some of their stuff. Then the trainers have to move out of the way. The coaches have to, lean forward or go backwards, and you're bumping into the players because, it's not like I'm Tim McKernan. I'm a little bit of a bigger guy.
Oh,
nice.
Wow.
Nice.
Drop out of that, Jackson. He's doing it again. Unprofessional.
And so, you roll up there, and you're kind of in the way because you really shouldn't be on that bench. And there are times in the past with Craig Berube and Drew Bannister, especially, things aren't going great. You're losing in that game. And as a reporter, I've got to try and ask a question that doesn't completely piss off the coach. And sometimes, it's a little uneasy, but they've been awesome. They've been awesome. And Monty's been great. And Monty told me, when he first started, because there was one time I pulled back. I actually pulled out of it the second or third time when Monty took over as head coach because he was talking to the team. And I'm like, I just got on my talkback button to our producer, Timmy Paps, and I'm like, I'm not going. He's like, well, what do you mean you're not going? Like, he's talking to the team right now. I'm not interrupting the coach talking to his team. Like, there's no way. We'll just skip it today. He's like, you got it. He's like, good call. Like, let it go. And then I told Monty about it after. I was like, yeah. Actually, Monty looked over at me following him talking to the team. And he's like, well, like, kind of shrugged his shoulders. And I was like, no, don't worry about it. He's like, okay. So we talked after the game. And he's like, what happened? Why didn't you come talk to me? I go, well, you were talking to your team. Like, I'm not getting involved in that. And you don't need some stranger behind the bench, like, while you're trying to motivate your team or you're disciplining a guy or whatever the hell you're doing. He's like, don't worry about it. He's like, just come on over. He goes, you're not bothering me. You're not bothering me. He goes, I'll say what I have to say. And then I'll stop and I'll turn to you and we'll do the interview. He's like, you got a job to do. And, we'll make sure we get that done for you. And I was like, ooh, that's pretty awesome.
I'd like you to stick a mic in there when he's disciplining one of the players so we could hear what he's got to say.
Listen, Doug, okay?
Is that too much? Clip that off. That's too much. Okay.
Yeah, Doug always wants more. That's what I heard.
Yeah.
Ooh, wow. You're a bad boy.
They haven't had to discipline anybody lately as well as they've been playing. I don't recall a stretch. I'm sure there have been, but in recent memory, I don't recall a stretch where they've been this dominant. I know they put together a long winning streak a few years ago, but to be this dominant against some pretty good teams in some cases, especially last night, it's really been incredible, hasn't it?
Yeah, like they put together that 11-win streak in 2018, 2019. But you're right, Doug. Like, this is dominant. Like, you come off we talked about it earlier. You come off a couple of games, Chicago National, like, the whole world's like, well, we expected that. Like, you should beat those guys. And you did. And it's fine. And it wasn't a Picasso either game. You're like, you're fine with that. But then Montreal, who's in the thick of things, fighting for a playoff spot, one of the hottest teams alongside the Blues, since the Four Nations break, you're like, okay, this is the test. Like, let's see what we're made of. And you absolutely dominate them for the entire game to where they're so frustrated, they're trying to pick fights in the last 3, 4, 5 minutes of the game because they can't do anything else against you. I mean, that's the part where I'm like, it's not a head scratcher. Maybe it is, but you're like, holy crap, like, what are we watching here? And I remember thinking last night, and, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I'm like, is this team ever going to lose? Because when you're playing that well and you're that dominant and you have the juice, as Monty calls it, to where you're on your toes and you're fast and you're checking and you're just winning every puck battle, it's just wild to watch. It's awesome. It's a lot of fun. We're witnessing something a lot of fun. And I said this to somebody the other day in passing. I said, whether they make the playoffs or not, which I think they will at this point, but honestly, I think Minnesota's within reach. The Blues might climb on top, like climb over them in the standings. But whether they make the playoffs or not, we've been able to witness something really fun here with this Blues team. And it's just beginning because the core of this team now is all those young guys. Holloway, Broberg, Neighbors, Bolduc, like there's Thomas, Kyrou, like the best is yet to come, in my opinion.
Jamie, a lot of these games, I'll call them low stress, where they're winning big. It's not a nail biter. Even though you're out there playing, to your full ability, I'm wondering, does that lessen a little bit of the exhaustion level or the physical burden? Like, because they're not in these stressful games during this stretch here, does that keep them fresher, even though you still got to go out and play all out? Do you know what I'm saying? I don't know if I know what I'm saying.
No, Marty, hold my hand. I'll walk you through this. Okay. You're doing a great job.
Okay, thank you. By the way, Jamie yesterday is very nimble. He crawled under Channel 4. Tamar Scher's doing a live shot, and he's supposed to be in his little booth over there, and he can't get around the Channel 4 Doug's operation. Right. They were set up on the bench, and he crawled under Tamar to get to his location. Very nimble. Nice.
Oh, Marty, as you know, you don't want to interrupt a live shot. I don't want to be walking in behind and interrupting the camera, so to say. So I knew Tamar was a pro, and so I just was like, you know what? I'm going to get down here, crawl underneath the view of the camera. And she was a pro. She kind of slid over like half a foot, let me get by, and it was great. So she did a great job, and I was just trying to stay out of her way.
Looked like Platoon crawling into the foxhole. He was down there on all. Anyway, nonetheless, you were going to help me. I'm sorry with my question.
Yeah, no, you're good. No, so you're right though. Sometimes it can be taxing no matter what, because every game you're playing right now, like you don't have the luxury of just kind of putting it in neutral. You want to win every game. But if you go and look at the time on ice or the number of shifts for this team, like Nathan Walker and Jordan Kyrou, there's not much difference as far as the number of shifts being played. And that's the luxury that Jim Montgomery has right now, is he's able to spread out the ice time and the workload throughout the lineup. I mean, your penalty killers, Matthew Joseph, Nathan Walker, Toropchenko, those are guys that are on your bottom. They're in your bottom six. Radek Faksa, another guy who kills penalties. That's another bottom six guy. Most teams, for special teams, their top six guys get the workload. Like a Ryan O'Reilly, a Robert Thomas. Those guys are power play, penalty kill, regular shift. And then you look at the time on ice at the end of the game, it's 22, 23 minutes of ice time. And you get down into the 60s, 70s as far as the game's played, and that wears on guys. But because of the depth of this team as far as the players being able to handle the responsibility, you don't see that as much here with the Blues. And that, to me, is really the lifesaver at this point for the Blues, is that they can roll out the same lineup, keep the same energy throughout the game because nobody's getting overworked.
I like it. So low-stress games equals less minutes, which is saving their legs, Doug. See, it all makes sense.
That is a nice play, and especially with the number of games they're playing, super helpful. I'm curious. I was texting with a friend about what's been going on here, and he wanted me to ask you about a comparison, not with the 19 team, but with the 2009 team. And I know that might be relatively obscure for some of the listeners to refresh people's
feels like yesterday, Tim.
Yeah, only 16 years ago, and it wasn't a real memorable postseason. But that young core had to surge down the stretch just to get into the playoffs, and they surged so much that they wound up playing Vancouver in the first round. And there were some tight games, but they were swept. They also had the similarity of Tkachuk, if you might remember, Jamie, was going to go to Boston at the deadline, but then it didn't wind up happening. I don't know what was going on with Schenn at the deadline this year. Do you see any similarities there with what's going on, or do you see more similarities with a more recent team? And obviously, one people would love to hear you say is, of course, what happened 6 years ago.
It's 2019 all over again, Tim. No,
nice. Chalice, bet it, Doug.
Here we go. Yep.
No, I try as hard as possible not to compare it to that team because of the ultimate result of the Stanley Cup championship. But there are a lot of similarities, and I know what you're talking about. I remember 2009 very much, and you're probably right. The comparison to that is probably more accurate. And I know people don't want to hear that because there wasn't a Stanley Cup at the end of the day with that season. But the young guys were tasked to take on a bigger role in 2009. And I've talked about this a few times recently. It just reminds me of the young core when, and this is going right back to the same era as you're talking about, when Oshie, the Alex Steen, Pietrangelo, Backus, Berglund, like all that wave of younger players started to take over the team. And we know, like, they didn't get the ultimate goal, which was a Stanley Cup, but there was a really big period of time where there was a lot of winning and a lot of success there and a lot of fun hockey to watch. And, the Stanley Cup is not arguably, I think it's the most difficult trophy in sports to win. So you don't want to go cashing your checks before it happens. But this team, with the way the youth is handling the workload, the way they're impacting each and every game, it's very promising for Blues fans. And think about this. You have an opportunity now to run a team through here with that core I just talked about, even more so with Hofer, and then let's add Dvorsky, Snuggerud. You've got some guys that can play. And this is way faster than I thought it was going to be. And I'm just going to be honest. I don't know about you guys, but when Army started this retool, I thought, man, especially last year, I thought, man, this might be longer than we think because the older players he brought in to kind of support this retool, They didn't really do what they were supposed to do, and the young guys aren't really ready yet. This could be long and painful. But then you flip it on its head by offer sheeting Holloway and Broberg. Then you add Bolduc, who's just decided that he's going to be an NHL top 6 player, and it changes everything. And now I'm looking at a team where you could look at an extended period of time of 6, 7, 8, 9 years of being a really competitive team.
I was looking at the 2009 ages. Backus was 24. Perron was 20. Petro barely played that year, but he was 19. Oshie was 22. You're right. In terms of the youth, that's going to be the core group for a number of years. That's a pretty good comp there. I like that.
Yeah, and look at the success that they had. Almost 10 years of, more than 10 years of being a really competitive team from that point on. And there were some things that happened. Obviously, not every player stuck around, and Army made some moves, but your core group of players from that one group of youthful guys carried you for an extended period of time where people loved watching Blues hockey.
And then one more behind the curtain. Tim, you like going behind the curtain a little bit?
Behind the curtain.
I mentioned this earlier, Jamie, that Chris Pronger now travels with a TMZ-type video posse, and his every move appears to be recorded, and you might just get stopped for a random interview if you're down in the bowels of the building. You can confirm, right, that Prongs now has a video posse following his every move?
Well, I told Prongs the other day, I said, listen, man, like, we all know you're a Hall of Famer and all that. You didn't have to hire a video crew to make you look important. And then I said, by the way, I don't remember signing a consent sheet. So anything that happens while we're here, like, you can't air this unless you pay me, Prongs. And I know you've got a nice thick wallet there. So you can pay me off, and you can use the footage of my greatness in your documentary.
Nice. So I'm thinking I can sue him for. I got ambushed. It was like Elliot Davis at the courthouse. All of a sudden, he came up with a mic and just made me talk. You're right. I should talk to legal.
You probably look guilty.
Yeah.
Well, he rolled up and he was wearing. I didn't know he started talking. Old hockey guys, as you guys know, we start telling stories, laughing, joking, probably saying things we shouldn't say. And I go, hey, wait. I go, he's wearing a wire. He's wearing a wire.
He told me to talk into his pocket. He did. He said, talk into the pocket.
Talk into the pocket.
Yeah, it was weird, too, because you got right down there and tried to talk into his pocket, Marty.
It really was weird.
Jackson, what's going on? I see you're pointing and whistling at Chairman Kurt while Jamie is telling wonderful stories and giving us insight. I find it disrespectful, Jamie, to be really candid with you.
I was trying to be quiet about it.
What's going on, baby?
Nothing. I was just
non-hockey related.
It's probably, He wants to watch some T-Wolves highlights, I think, is what it wants to go on.
Oh, he's probably talking about the third string guard in the NCAA tournament.
Is that what you're talking
about? Why am I catching strays? I was just sitting here quietly.
Just kind of derailed the interview.
Yeah, very unfortunate. Jamie, always enjoy the conversation. Appreciate it, man.
All right, boys. Thanks a lot. Have a great day.
Thank you, too. That's Jamie Rivers. And, of course, you can catch him here on 101 ESPN on the Fast Lane from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. 101 ESPN, broadcasting live from inside Ballpark Village. That's where we will be tomorrow for opening day. And BK and Ferrario, Cardinal home opener, finally here. And we will be set up steps away from the stadium and looking forward to doing the show from downtown Ballpark Village tomorrow. TMA and BK and Ferrario coming to you live this Thursday from Ballpark Village. Opening day broadcast presented by General Pest Services, Rawlings, and Budweiser. You are welcome to participate in the program in so many different ways. Call in, Callier and Thompson phone lines, 314-974-0101. You can also text in 314-399-9646 and email in for our Design Air heating and cooling email of the day, the morning after, at InsideSTL.com. Got a surprise guest coming up on the Stiefel dossier at 9 o'clock.
I think you're going to enjoy
and
it.
we don't have a beat on it just yet, Doug. But my read is it's Cardinal related. That's my read. I don't know.
I thought you said it was Blues related.
Yeah,
you
but
shift?
you pointed out that I said it was Blues related, which to
Doug
me
said
is to put
Cardinals,
me
you
on
said
the
Blues.
put me
No.
on the track. So I'm going to say it's.
I talked Battlehawks earlier. You never know.
Yeah, it could be Battlehawks related. And then Jeremy Rutherford, is in the building, and he is going to drop by the studio
Oh, is he?
right around 10 o'clock when Martin has to go to his Heim Bloom onboarding session. Then we have the Design, Air, Heating, and Cooling email of the day at 10:50. That's your Stiefel dossier here on TMA. And we welcome you to participate in all of these different ways. Plus, if you miss anything, you can always go back and podcast. It's Schaefer Door Company, sponsor of the podcast, and they are online at SCHAEFER.com. That's SchaeferDoor.com. That's how you spell it. If you want a podcast, Schaefer Door, sponsor of the podcast on TMA. Run into any garage door issues? Work with Jason Gossrow and his team at Schaefer Door. Plus, they put together a number specifically for TMA listeners, 636-782-3608. They service commercial doors as well, so if you run a business or warehouse with big, tall doors, Schaefer is experienced in these types of jobs. It's Schaefer Door, a CHI overhead door dealer. Surprise guest coming up at 9 o'clock. Doug, wonderful Mike Francesa audio coming up in the next segment.
Nice.
It didn't go well for him yet again. Got that coming your way. This is TMA 101 ESPN. Tim McKernan here for Stewart's American Mortgage. We always talk about the accessibility TMA advertisers give to our listeners by setting up a number or a site directly for our audience. Well, Stewie does that by giving out his personal cell phone, 314-324-4440. Or you, of course, can just Google the Bagel Loan, and Stewie is with us right now. And I'm intrigued by what we're talking about here, Stewie, because you want to talk with the audience about not self-diagnosing. What does that mean?
You know, Tim, this is a very interesting story. We had a listener called us and said, I heard your commercials. I heard you talking about on the radio, all this kind of stuff, but I got a great rate. I'm not going to call. 1 month pass, 2 months pass, 3 months passes. And he says, he decides to pick up the phone and call me. And he says, look, I got a lender that I work with all the time. He tells me I got the best rates out there. It's better than what you can get today. I'm not going to do anything about it, but you know what? I'll just give you a shot. So I call him. We start talking about it, and we realize that his income plus his wife's income, he can't get a better rate. But if I can qualify him just on his income,
I think we may have lost Stewie in the midst of him telling the story. Hopefully we can reconnect. But Stewie is online at, you Google the Bagel Loan, or give him a call on his personal cell phone, 314-324-4440. That is his personal cell phone, 314-324-4440. If you are looking to purchase a home, a refinance, or if you are looking to consolidate some of your ugly credit card debt, work with Stewie at Stewart's American Mortgage. Let's slow it down, ladies. Yeah. It's opening day in St. Louis. Want to slow dance at PBR?
You asking me that?
If HR says it's cool, I am.
There's not going to be a lot of slow dancing at this thing Thursday. Tomorrow, is there?
Well, we have the Bachelor baseball. I can see it happening.
guess,
It's
okay.
boys to men.
Is our guy just showing up with his tickets, still waiting for company?
He called another number yesterday. He's just calling around the building. Voicemails.
And we have not been able to help. He widened the window.
He
even.
did 42 to 62, I believe now.
Yeah, and we still can't coordinate.
And it's surprising because we've always had such a strong female listenership on this show over the couple decades. One of the reasons I think is the Francesa audio we play. Jackson, what do we have going on here?
So this was following St. John's loss to Arkansas, and Mike Francesa, who's seldom critical of coaches, is defending his boy Rick Pitino and some of the criticism he was getting.
All right. Go ahead and hit the lever.
Okay, step on it.
Hit the lever,
Lewis
please.
fell apart. Completely fell apart. Didn't play like a player of the year. Didn't play like a star. Didn't play like an All-America. And Patino had seen enough. You want to get on him for not putting Richmond back in? Go ahead. But all of a sudden, you're the coach and he's not. All of a sudden, you know more about coaching the team than Patino does? You don't. So you rode with him through all the glory, through the Big East regular season, through every big win, through the sold-out Madison Square Garden games, to a Big East championship in the tournament, into the NCAA tournament for the first time in 2 decades, winning the game by 30 in game 1, and now you decided, hey, I know more than Patino. You don't. Might not agree with something, but so what? You're not coaching the team he is.
There it is.
So that is a reference to what audio we played the other day where the reporter, is he talking about the reporter that called out Patino?
Just fans. He's
Just
arguing with
fans in
nobody. That's what is funny to
Straw
me.
man is a great tactic, Martin.
Yeah.
What are your different breakdowns of sports talk radio's guy who discovers his take while
Begging for calls. Stumbles into opinion on the air.
Abandons opinion midway. I've done that.
And then fake angry guy.
Yeah.
Is of course, but I think
it's a very prominent business model right
the
now.
straw man, for example, today say, all right, I know all you people are picking the Cardinals to win the division, but I'm here to say they're not.
Yeah.
And you say, well, nobody.
That might be the most popular guy.
Nobody's actually picking them to win. But we had the reporter the other day from Newsday who asked about R.J. Lewis not playing, and Patino got kind of sideways with the reporter and said, you know why you're asking. You're trying to stir it up. I thought maybe Francesa was calling out that particular reporter.
Yeah, I think him and St. John's fans who are
Just
upset.
anybody who's griping.
Yes. But again, he's arguing with nobody.
Dick Vitale was on Pat McAfee doing his first live interview in 3 years since all of his cancer
Is that
treatments.
right?
Yeah, and he was all fired up about the transfer. Yeah, about the transfer portal opening up right in the middle of the tournament.
We got chaos going on. I'll share this with you, Pat, and you and your guys. They just opened up the transfer portal, which I think is a joke. I think it's absurd to have the transfer portal during the heart of March Madness. I think that's crazy. It's ludicrous. You ready for this? Only one day, about 1,000 kids are in the portal. 1,000. Yeah. It is total wacky what's going on. Because the question is, right away, the question is very simple. When the kids talk to some coach about transfer, what about my cash, man? How much am I getting? Yeah. Did you ever think you'd see this path going on? It's a better free agency than the pros have, because in this case, you're free. At least in the pros, you got a contract.
Dickie.
Yeah.
Transfer portal opened up on Monday.
It does not make
why
any
did they do
sense.
that?
It's crazy. It's crazy.
I mean, Missouri's new quarterback, if you recall, Bo Prabula, had to leave Penn State before they played in their playoff game.
Yeah, they got it wrong in football, too.
So they've got them both going.
Right.
And both could wait just a month. Wait a month.
Well, the football, and didn't they say it's because of schooling?
It's enrollment, yeah. But with this...
We're worried about that now?
But if you were to wait, one more month here with basketball, or even a couple weeks, they'd still be able to enroll, one would think, before the fall, and you're not doing it in the middle of the tournament.
It wasn't popular with Dick Vitale. It wasn't popular with one of Dick Vitale's favorite coaches. His team is getting ready to play in a tournament. That's Tommy Bizzo. Here's Tom Izzo on the transfer portal.
You at least have to keep an eye on? Can you push it off until you guys are done playing? Just sort of wondering how you've decided to deal with that when there is movement going on.
I'm not dealing with it at all. You know, the only thing that I would deal with is I don't run players off. So you got to have spots to pick up transfers, and maybe we'd have one. If everybody came back, maybe we wouldn't. And so I don't, I really, you say you don't believe on the leaving side. Well, if you don't have spots, why are you doing that? So that I can get somebody better, I can get a better girlfriend because the one I got isn't good enough. I don't know, get a better wife because the one I got isn't good enough. I don't know. It's not a loaded question. It's one I really have zero interest in answering because I think it's ridiculous that the NCAA or any other entity put these two things together, is that people like you have to ask these questions, and I value that you have to ask them. And I do get upset when, you know, people are talking to our kids about them, but I'm disgusted by the fact that we even have to deal with this at this time.
Well, if everybody hates it, why do they have to deal with it? Why don't they change it?
How can the NCAA get so many things wrong?
There's no rules.
I know, but
Total lawlessness.
Who thinks that's a good idea?
No, it seems to be nobody.
Right. So who's in charge that says, oh, we all hate it, but we'll just have to do it? Right. How do they not enact some? How do they not change it?
I saw Gabe on Twitter yesterday because Kevin Willard, who's the coach of Maryland, Crab 5, was talking about how much players are asking for and how crazy it is. And Gabe was kind of like, well, you're a coach who's benefiting from, like, you use the system, but you're also talking about how, like, crazy it is. So coaches complain about it, but they're also big beneficiaries of the transfer portal.
You can enjoy the portal, but also...
Yes,
I think the timing of this is terrible.
I don't think it's mutually exclusive.
What do you do if you got a good team that's still in the tournament and some superstar from a team that's not in the tournament says, hey, I want to transfer to your school, but I need an answer now? And as a Tom Izzo or someone else, you got to look at your roster and say, who could I do without and take this kid from some other school?
Yeah.
That's a tough call for everybody.
And real quick, any of you guys, I know we're in a Final Four run here. Anybody thinking about leaving? I kind of need to know ahead of time. I mean, it is so stupid.
It's so weird.
Missouri lost Aiden Shaw yesterday, Jackson. You okay with that?
Yeah, I mean, seemed like a wonderful guy. Was a 4-star recruit that I can't say who stayed. He was a Conzo pickup and then stayed after the Gates hire. So you got to commend him there, and stuck around, but just didn't necessarily develop from ball handling and shooting perspective. Obviously, unbelievably athletic and jump out of the gym, but just never really developed much in the terms of a jumper or ball handling. So it sucks. Wish him nothing but the best because he truly seems like a wonderful guy. But yeah, it's part of the game.
He'll benefit from a fresh start somewhere.
If you want to bring guys in, other guys got to leave. That's kind of the nature of the beast. It's not necessarily a reflection of the program or a reflection of the coach. It's the reflection of the system.
And as we've acknowledged, the system
is flawed,
is chaotic at this particular moment. That's what you heard there from both Dick Vitale and Tom Izzo. His team on the verge of a run to the Elite Eight. They got to go past Hottie Toddy, good God Almighty. Doug, good gosh almighty down there. Right. And they're only given 2.5 points. That stands out to me.
Yeah.
Could you have Michigan against Michigan State, the Elite Eight? Oh my.
Do you guys like that when it's like a regional, like Duke, North Carolina one time faced?
And then Krzyzewski's final game.
Yeah, Caleb Love.
And that was in the Final Four, though, wasn't it? So
yes.
it was pretty far down. Like, they could not have forecast that.
As opposed to, like, matchups that you would never see. Although with the conferences changing up so much, you see more of those now.
I'd rather see rivalry games, I think, than...
Just randoms?
Yeah, I think I would.
I respect that.
Oh, you could see Auburn, Ole Miss in that same regional.
Yeah, exactly.
SEC going up against
Tennessee,
each other.
Kentucky already.
You're getting that coming up, that regional. I mean, how about that? Houston 1 seed's got to play right there, an hour away from Purdue's campus.
going to be tough.
In Indianapolis. All right, we got the surprise guest coming up here at 9
Big
o'clock.
hockey guy.
Oh, there's our clue, huh?
What?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Hockey guy.
You asked for a clue.
Okay.
I'm still going to call. I want to see what Martin does. I don't know if he's going to fire another bullet on the river. I'm calling. I just don't think he has it. I think he has ace king, and I just don't think the board is hit for him. And I've got pocket sevens, and I think I'm good. I think I'm good. We'll find out. I think it's a baseball guess, but we'll find out. James Carlton, longtime sponsor here on the program, 415 five-star reviews. James Carlton of the Carlton State Farm Insurance Agency has been my insurance agent for the last 6 years, and I wholeheartedly recommend him to the audience. There is a very good chance that your insurance went up year over year. Well, make the call to James Carlton's offices right now and see if they can save you money. You have nothing to lose other than the handful of moments it's going to take to talk to somebody live who is right here in the St. Louis area in Webster Groves at James Carlton's office. 314-961-4800 or go online at carltoninsurance.net. That's James Carlton of the Carlton State Farm Insurance Agency. Tim McKernan, Doug Vaughn, Martin Kilcoyne, Jackson Burkett, Chairman Kurt. This is TMA, presented to you by Brown and Crouppen on 101 ESPN and the TMA STL YouTube channel.
When you get the Schnucks Rewards app, you're not only earning 2% back on every purchase, you're building up those points, money you can cash. I was at the store the other day, and they said you have $23 in rewards. Take it right off the bill. It builds up over time. You save money. Pretty simple. Shop, earn, redeem. You get 2% back, and then there are doubled points days. They'll let you know. Make sure you download the app. You can also use that for delivery or curbside. And if you're looking for an item, you can't find it, you get a little confused. What aisle is that in? Use the app. It will help you locate items as well. Can't find those breadcrumbs. Get into the app, search, it's found. Curbside, delivery, all of it through the Schnucks Rewards app. So many personalized savings directly sent to you as well when you sign up for the app. If you haven't done it yet, get signed up. You're going to your neighborhood Schnucks for all your groceries. Make sure you get some money back while doing that shopping. Reward yourself. Download the Schnucks Rewards app today. If you have not, you're missing out. Start saving money off your groceries. You can do that with the Schnucks Rewards app.
This is Action Jackson with a Sports Center update. That's brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. Life comes at you fast. If you blink, you might miss it. St. Francis, who's just in March Madness, has decided to go to Division III with the revenue share looming. So D1 in the tournament to D3 just in the matter of a week. That was another Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Surprise, surprise, surprise. Now, what, if anything, that ball contains, we don't know. This is an adventure you and I are going to be taking together.
You've got a big surprise coming to you.
Doug, there's a lot going on in this studio right now. And if you're watching on the TMA STL YouTube channel, you would be able to see the chaos here on the morning after 101 ESPN. Martin, it's surprise guest time?
Yeah, what I like to do for the show, for the audience, is bring on guests that people would like to hear from. I always say it's relevant. I gave you a clue that this person is really into hockey.
Into hockey.
Has been involved in radio.
Involved in radio.
Is an author.
Author.
Does that help narrow it down, Doug? What do you got?
Hockey, radio.
Hockey,
author.
radio, author.
Bernie Federko.
Oh, that's a great guest.
I still think it's a baseball guest.
Oh, boy, I'd hate to disappoint you. Caller, welcome to the show. It's great to have you on. I haven't heard your voice in a while. Welcome in. How are you, sir?
Doing great, guys. How about yourself?
Yeah. Was Tim ever your boss? Is that not true? No. Let's see. That would be stretching it a bit. Played here, managed here, and played here. Tim, you were right. It is Cardinal related.
Yes.
Mike Matheny, yes. How about that?
Yes.
Friend of the show? Nah,
yes.
probably not.
Boy, I felt good. And you fired that final bet at the pot, too.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, am I off?
But Mike, you're a big hockey. I didn't mislead the group. You are a big hockey guy.
Yeah, big hockey guy that can barely skate. I don't know if that necessarily fits, but I think that's why my kids loved it so much, because I didn't know anything about it.
Didn't you skate you would skate with the Blues, all right, didn't you?
Yeah, the guys got me a set of goalie gear because they thought it somehow translated with the catcher stuff. So I'd stand in net and fall down, and they said I would do such weird stuff in the net that I was actually kind of effective. Like, it made no sense why I would move like I moved. I was pretty good with my glove. That's about it. After that, it was a disaster.
But then your daughter played at Ohio State, right?
She did, yeah. And, so cool to watch. Ohio State, unfortunately, lost right there in the championship game for the national championship, almost back-to-back. But, she and the Dunn girls, Jess and Jency, and now Joy Dunn, all at Ohio State, three of the best women hockey players that have been around in a while. And I know Katie had a part in those girls going there. And, yeah, just neat to watch the development of St. Louis youth hockey. Just a fan of every one of our young players who are now doing really well at the highest level, male and female.
So I didn't lie, hockey guy, but I'm a radio guy. I might have stretched it a little bit when I said radio.
That's right. Had a run in the 2011 season, as a matter of fact.
Was it with Mabes?
It was with Mabry and Claiborne. Yeah. That's exactly
Mabes
right.
and Claves.
That's right. I'm obligated to bring up, Mike, what I would describe as a wonderful commercial, but it was an unfortunate airing during your program of a commercial for an establishment in Sauget, Illinois, that was not supposed to play, and you were displeased to hear it during your program and expressed that with me. And on behalf of Doug, who actually ran the spot, I'd like to apologize.
Oh, no.
I didn't have anything to do with it.
Oh, man. Yeah, that was my radio life.
Welcome to sports radio.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think it's a stretch, man. We did 4 recorded video or audio recordings, interviews every single day as a manager. So that's about as much as anybody wants to hear you on the radio. So I think it's all part of the TV, radio, all part of the managerial gig.
Oh, Mike Matheny, are you going to be in town? You've got an event Friday. I don't know if there's any openings left, but you've got a new book out, so Mike's back. Are you going to be in town tomorrow?
We're heading in tomorrow. Then we have a launch at the new library right there on Limburg. And then we're doing a second event at the new Rawlings facility over in Westport, and kind of bouncing in and out some different places and promoting this new book that, man, I'm really excited about. We started into it. We had the first book just kind of talking about how I believe we as coaches and parents have kind of maybe misinterpreted what success looks like at the youth sports level. And so we had great response, and a lot of people saying, okay, we agree, but now you let this hang in. How do you go about doing this? So this book's really more about the how of, hey, here's some things and here's some tools. And so one of the best parts about this is I had a group of those boys that we coached who are now young men help us kind of develop what would be most valuable. And they came up with this idea of us doing some QR codes. So we have 75 QR codes that you scan with your phone through the book that link to over 240 videos that myself and about 20 other people, and it's a growing number. I'm going to keep adding these videos over time to learn how to do first and third defense or pop-up priority or something simple, but we're really aiming at those dad coaches who volunteered to go out and to let them know that they can learn the game and teach it and be well equipped. You don't necessarily have to go mortgage your family to be able to play on whatever high-level team. That might be down the road, but for right now, let's just go learn the game, teach the game, and hopefully have a passion for teaching the character bases that applies to anything, not just sports.
That's good counsel. I'm intrigued by, for the record, for the audience, the name of the book is Dad Coach, How to Lead Kids to Succeed on and Off the Baseball Field. And this has been a real passion project for you over the years, Mike. I guess observing your kids playing sports and what can go on really more along the lines of with parents, but now working to get people on the right track when it comes to training. So what are some of the things that you have seen that you would like to perhaps set the record straight on that can help parents with their kids, whether it be specifically in baseball or in sports in general?
Yeah, and I don't even think it needs to be specified to just sports. I think it's any extracurricular activity. I think the one thing that gets in the way, listen, this doesn't have anything to do with lack of care or love for our kids. I mean, we get it. And I think what happens is I'll see it at the baseball fields where people will show up and maybe they don't have much of a baseball background. Their kids have an interest in it. And so then they come and watch some of these teams and some of the parents who are just acting out of their mind. And they think, well, I must have to do that in order for my kid to go and play and go as far as he can. And then you start falling into this trap of investment where I'm going to make this huge investment in our finances and our family time. And then you start expecting this return of investment, and everybody's trying to sell you this idea of the full ride scholarship or going to play in the major leagues, which are great dreams if these are dreams that are driven by the kids. But I think we as parents just fall into that trap. We know just enough to be dangerous how much goes into trying to achieve a goal like that we begin to be the engine that's pushing this thing. And a lot of times what we're doing is we're pushing our kids away. So what we're trying to do is like, hey, I just had 30 years of experience at the major league level. And listen, I get it. It was a fun ride. And you got to understand, to be able to do that for a long time, to make it to that level, there are very, very big odds against. But somebody does have to make it. I get that. But can we use those 99.9% that just want to have fun with the game and teach them some things that go way beyond however long they play any sport or play any instrument or do any fun thing extracurricularly? And I think it's just keeping that perspective of people who've gone to the highest level. A lot of them say the same things. You know, my parents weren't necessarily the craziest ones in the stands. They just weren't. And I think every guy that you go to in a major league clubhouse will give you stories of some kid that was better than them, more talented than them, and then something pushed them off track. And unfortunately, what happens a lot of times, it's some over-aggressive coaching, and it's some pressure that's put on to them sometimes from the people that care about them the most, with their parents who just aren't necessarily informed how to go about this, to create this atmosphere of where it's going to be all about the kids, and let's try and build them up as young men and young women and help them be as good athletically as they could be.
I followed Mike's advice. His first book, where one of the principles was when you get in the car after the game, you don't talk about the game. You don't go over to berate your kid.
Yell at him.
No, Doug. You were the Wizard of Crestwood. I was the Dean of DePere as an associate head coach with a losing record. But I would always in the car hear Mike's voice, and you don't go. I would always say, "Good game, good job." But then, so I think I got that part right. But sometimes in the team huddle after the game, I called them effing idiots, and they were only. So I think I may have failed 50-50, right? I got part of it right.
Well, you did your best.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. We'll let you read a couple chapters in the book, but it's hard not to get involved. I mean, as we love to compete, we always want to win, and I think it's just kind of having some of these reminders. And as I've gone through over the years and just interviewed certain guys and just say, hey, tell me something that you saw your parents do. This was me as a young parent asking some of my teammates, hey, how did your folks go about this? And it was overwhelming that, hey, they were just kind of this silent source of support, which is exactly how my parents were. So I thought I grew up like on a foreign planet. When I started watching our kids, I'm going to tell you, you were talking about hockey. The first year I went to watch my son Tate play, and these kids could barely stand up, and only half of them knew how to stop. So they just went until they hit the boards. And it was in the second period of one of the first games that we had, and one kid ran into another kid, and I got two dads walking outside to go fight. And I mean,
it's reasonable.
We lose our mind. We lose our minds when it comes to our kids. We lose our minds when it starts to become about competing. And I think it's just a couple reminders here and there. Now, listen, we all get it wrong, and we all get frustrated when we see our kids doing things that, man, you just want to, because we do know more. But it's figuring out ways, okay, how can we build, what's the end game? What does success look like? And if success looks like these kids fall in love with the game that we love, that we can do that together for life. And then, by the way, we're helping them learn something about teamwork. We're learning them something about how to win, how to fail, how to lose, how to be a good teammate, which all applies into being a good spouse and to being a good person to go to work with, as a good boss, as a good employee, and using sports to build all those things up. It's a win-win if we can kind of get reframed. What's the goal here?
You must have had some great coaches along the way to get to where you got as a kid, and in high school, college, the minors, the major leagues. Who were some of the guys that really made a major positive impact on you? Yeah, and I've got a list, too, that I won't name by name, but that, like, hey, I don't want to do it that way. And I think that's valuable, too. But the ones who reached out, I had a guy as soon as I started playing youth sports. You know, he just finished playing in the minor leagues. Get this, he had a son who was a catcher. So this guy was a minor league catcher with the Giants, had a son who was a catcher, and he had enough humility to see that I was pretty good behind the plate. And he moved his son to second base. Who does that? But this guy was head and shoulders above everybody else in just teaching the game. And so I had him all the way through high school. So I had a severe head start. Obviously, some athletic abilities that I didn't do anything to deserve that were given to me. But after that, I had Bill Freehand in college, who was a 17-year veteran catcher for the Tigers. And then I had Mr. Del Crandall, longtime catcher with Milwaukee, had him as a catching instructor, and then obviously Mr. Dave Ricketts. And then I had the privilege and pleasure of spending time with Mr. Dave Duncan, who I believe helped me get the way that I thought about the game to a completely different level. He and Tony both. So just had people around me who understood the catching position as much as just the game of baseball.
Mike, opening day tomorrow, you experience it as a player, as a manager, and we always kind of wax poetic around here, but I'm thinking in 2012, that team's coming off a World Series title, and it's your first gig as the manager, and now your first opening day. Are those moments vivid to you?
Yeah. The only thing that really gets better is October baseball in St. Louis. But I've said this everywhere we've been. Opening day is special everywhere. Nobody puts as much into it, and nobody does it better than the St. Louis Cardinals. They just don't. It is a very unique celebration, and obviously it's rooted around the fact that our fans jump in and make this exceptionally rare. And to be able to, first time of, being out there to watch the Clydesdales go through. Fortunately, I was starting opening day, my very first game, so I wasn't in the cars going around. I was out in the bullpen, but just to watch that whole pageant, it's a spectacle to see a city that has so much and so deep of a tie to a team that it's the biggest thing going. So it is always and always will be, to me, some of my favorite memories, whether as a player or as a manager, to see our fans show up on opening day knowing something special can happen right now, and just knowing the kind of relationships that are being built with families and friends and just a community once that season starts off.
You think you'd maybe get another shot as a manager somewhere? Would you still like to do that again, or have you had enough?
No, I think it's we all need to be where we're supposed to be and to be where we're needed. And, I think there's a shelf life to this gig. I love staying involved, so I'm coaching right now. I'm coaching coaches, though. I love the idea of multiplying, every coach that I can influence, and not just at the youth level. I've got some guys at the big league level, some guys at the college level that I just make myself available for, and for it being not necessarily about me, which is hard for all humans to do. But I've got no agenda here. Just how can I use some of the things that I've learned from that incredible list of men that I just mentioned to you, and a long list of other coaches who invested into me. There's now a responsibility to pass that along. So, I haven't turned down any conversations with any team, but I also know that this game keeps moving sometimes, and so I'm going to be available to be where I'm supposed to be without some goal of trying to make it any particular place. And that's also kind of going back to this book. It's been really cool to do because there's no agenda. We're taking all the funds that we've had with proceeds, and we're building a field down in the Dominican Republic and just trying to give back, right? Like 30 years in the game altogether at the major league level, whether it's coaching, playing, through the minors. Man, that's ridiculous. I wasn't that good, and that's not false humility. That's just the kind of the player I knew I had to be. And so we have a responsibility to give back and to try and keep building up this great game that changed my life, and I believe can draw people together and draw communities together like you're going to see happen on opening day in St. Louis.
I know you've battled some health issues. You back to 100% now? You feeling okay?
Yeah, that was a wild ride. We kind of kept that under wraps for a while, but it's just turned into a more powerful story, I believe. Yeah, and for those who don't know, just the 2-second version is had a bleed on the brain, and they told me I didn't have great odds of walking out of the ICU, so spent 20 days on my back in the ICU, and praise God, did beat the odds and was able to walk out. And so that was about, 14 months ago. And it took about 6-8 months. I lost probably 40 pounds and had to go through a number of tests again up through the Mayo Clinic and got a clean bill of health. It was something called a subarachnoid brain hemorrhage that was not trauma-induced. It just happens. But fortunately, I was one of the few who was able to walk away from it, and with a renewed sense of gratitude, a renewed sense of urgency to make an impact, and that's why I appreciate you guys taking the time to talk about this book, because I think something like this is taking what I've learned over the years and then truly just trying to help people and give them some resources to go and use whatever they've got, whether it's the game or whatever time they have to go invest into kids, and do it in a way that is bigger than just us, and that's a great place to be.
Former Cardinal Mike Matheny, our guest here on TMA. You're listening to 101 ESPN and the TMA STL YouTube channel. You can watch at youtube.com/TMA STL. I know this question may sound odd, but you sound really at peace, happy, and I would imagine because what you were just talking about, Mike, and I heard the details when you were on with Martin on his podcast of the math you were up against with the health situation, combined with maybe not having to go through the everyday challenges, frustration, stress of being a major league manager, and I guess maybe the perspective perhaps that comes from the experience with the health. You just sound good, for lack of a better term. Is that an accurate perception?
Yeah, Tim, I'd say all the above. It was interesting. Even when I was managing, I had so many close friends, and all my kind of mentors and closest people to me would always tell me, like, hey, these people in St. Louis have no idea. They see you as this almost curmudgeon. But here's the honesty of being in that position. I had to just stay on point, and I almost had that mentality of, I know it's a medical creed, but do no harm. And so every time I got in front of you guys, or I got in front of a microphone or in front of a camera, I was always thinking about how do I represent this organization? How do I represent my teammates? How do I represent my family? How do I represent my God here in a way that I just don't say or do something? So you think about 4 times a day we would all get together, right? And those are all recorded. Mm-hmm. And one word, one time where I'm just trying to be maybe a little bit, I don't know, funny or witty, and it's taken the wrong way. And the harm that could happen from that was so far beyond me trying to win people over. And so I just stuck with that whole process. I believe even when I was managing, I probably had as much joy as anybody I knew. I just couldn't let down my guard. And I'm glad I did it that way. Once again, I know that it's not always fun to watch and listen to, but I do know that I have very few regrets about how I went about handling the media, how I went about handling some of the adversity and some of the even the critics. I just had to do what I had to do to represent the people that I knew needed me to represent them and to defend them and to protect, and the responsibility and privilege of the great name of the St. Louis Cardinals baseball organization. And so it's something I didn't take lightly, and I couldn't do just halfway. I couldn't do with my guard down.
Well, grouchy Tony kind of had the market corner. So Eddie, you were a ray of sunshine after the skipper, and so you don't have to. I do think though, because you were younger and your kids were younger, I think it was harder. So like Tony's family didn't live here, Whitey's kids were older, but like the criticism, and it was also the dawn of social media. Yeah. I feel like it's harder to be, and like Mike Martz experienced this because his kids were in high school. So if somebody, nice call on 4th down, or it was more vocal because kids are in school. I feel like that was harder for you because your family, because the kids were younger.
Well, and that may be true. I would say it stung more than I thought it would. And listen, Whitey was beautiful. The first day I got the job, he asked me to meet him for lunch, and we sat down, and he said, "You just need to get something, kind of get your head around it. You're either going to get fired one day or you're going to die on the job." And I'm like, well, thanks for that, Whitey. The point being is there's not many that just ride off into the sunset in this gig. And he knew, especially as young as I was getting started, the odds of me and everything being rosy in St. Louis forever, exponentially low. So go out and just do the right thing. And it was great wisdom. But I'll tell you what I didn't expect. St. Louis has always been my home. Even though I wasn't born there, I spent over 30 years, raised our family there. I think that's different than some of the other people that live elsewhere and then come in. This is a place where, yes, our kids were in school and our kids heard everything that was being said, and oftentimes they would know stuff was being said that I wouldn't because I just put my head in the sand. I just had to go do my job. The fact this is where we got involved in the community and trying to go out and do things beyond the game, and then to have some of that bite back. But listen, if you can't handle that, you should have never, ever put your hat in the ring to begin with. And I knew it was coming, but that didn't make it any easier when that time came, because I felt hey, this is my home. And so I think it was a little unique from that perspective.
Yeah, when you signed in that offseason 2000, I think I got Mike's phone number, and I called him and I said, hey, can we do like a phone interview? And he said, well, I live in Weldon Spring. And I go, oh, wow, I forgot he was already here. Also on that podcast, Tim, we talked about Mike's serious health care, and then I segued to Bob Uecker, and he said, wow, there's a transition. But people don't understand your time in Milwaukee, I mean, in Wisconsin, so the Packers reign supreme. But the only thing that could maybe trump the Packers would be Bob Uecker, and just in terms of mass popularity. If you would just share a few stories, because you guys would fish on some of the game days, and just he loved you.
Yeah, we hit it off, and as a guy, truly the funniest human I've ever encountered in my life. And you just knew you didn't need to say a word, and you need to be prepared that your stomach was going to hurt from laughing when you're finished with Uke. But just the stuff that would come to him so quick. But he was passionate about the game. He loved the catching position. And so once a catcher, always a catcher. And so he was always defending me to his friend and boss, Mr. Bud Selig, who was our owner and commissioner at the time. But he was making sure that he went out of his way to say, hey, you probably didn't notice this, but Mike did that today. And that helped us win. And stuff like that, a player like me, I needed to have that advocate. And Uke was it. And we also had a common passion to be on the water. So Uke loved to fish. He spent a couple seasons where he'd leave County Stadium, and then he would just go right over to his boat on the water, sleep, and then get up and go fishing. So we were actually on a boat together when 9/11 happened, just the two of us. I was in town with the Cardinals as a player.
Wow.
You asked me if I'd go fishing with him, and so we're out on the water when all that went down. So obviously never forget that. But talk about an ambassador. I just think there are few people whose personalities and just their passion and also respect and admiration for the game and what it's done for them just kind of transcends time. I mean, we're all going to be saying just a bit outside sometime. I mean, what he did through the movies and his shows, but how he represented the game of baseball and the kind of man he was, he's going to be sorely missed.
So, Mike, you're in town Friday, Saturday. Again, for folks, the name of the book, and then also where you'll be this weekend.
Yeah, it's The Dad Coach, and once again, I want to make sure people know this isn't me writing a book saying that I got it all figured out as a coach and as a dad. That's not the premise of it. It's just trying to take some great resources, and we have QR codes all the way through the book that you can scan to get some lessons, and we're going to be updating those. It's kind of a living document to where I'm at a baseball field right now and shooting a couple more. Just like, hey, I was just thinking about trying to teach kids how to dive for a ball. Think about this, just stuff we're going to spitball and give to some young dads who probably drew the short straw, ended up coaching a team, and it's not necessarily something that they're equipped for. So we're just trying to give them some things to help those kids ages 6 to 12 to fall in love with the game, to redefine success. We've handed out a bunch of our character studies, like, hey, use these if these apply, or use these as a template. So it's just we believe it's just to try to give back. We'll be doing a launch on Friday at the new library off Lindbergh, and then we'll be with Rawlings on Saturday at their new facility in Westport. And just looking forward to getting in front of people and passing the book, and hopefully they'll take some time to jump in. I'll tell you one thing that's definitely going to be worth it. At the back of the book, I had about 7 of the boys that we started with from the beginning, one of them being Trent Frederick, who I'm just such a huge fan of, going back to our hockey. But we had Trent from the beginning, and listening to what these boys learned from the game of baseball at the youngest level, and passing that on to people now that as grown men, just priceless rewards, and a reminder to us who coach and those of us as dads. Billy Graham said that a coach is going to influence and impact more people in a year than a normal human will in a lifetime. And I'm like, what a great responsibility and a reminder to do it well when we get that chance.
Well, that's great counsel right there. That is a great counsel. Mike Matheny, Martin, what a wonderful surprise guest.
You thought it might be Eddie Munster again. And then I said like hockey, and you think, oh, it's going to be Big Walt again or Pronger again. I said, no, it's a hockey guy who also has a baseball tie-in. Fred and Mary Kay said to say hello. They're listening over at Marina Villa as well. Mike's got so many friends. The text line, this is not the same maybe when you're managing Mike, but the text line is like, we love this guy, we love this man, and so there it is.
Well, appreciate you, fellas. You guys have always been good to me, and look forward to continuing to try to figure out how to do what we do in a way that helps other people. So stay in touch.
All right, Mike. Well, that's very kind of you, man. Thank you so much for the time this morning.
See you guys.
All right, that's Mike Matheny. What a wonderful surprise guest. Tip of the cap.
Well, I was thinking baseball, and I knew he was coming to town. I didn't even know he had a book. I knew he was coming to town. So I thought, well, this will be fun. Opening day, it's baseball. And then I see today at STL today, there's a story about him in the paper today about his book. I was not even aware. And I don't think he liked me yelling the kids, calling them effing idiots, Doug.
Probably
Is that
not.
not in the book?
He's not only one of the more intellectual people that you'll ever run across in baseball, also one of the toughest physically. Mm-hmm. There's a video out there on YouTube when he was hitting with the Brewers.
Yes.
He got hit by a fastball in the face and just calmly set the bat down and walked to the dugout. Anyone else might not have survived the pitch to the face, and he just kind of walked off the field at that point.
Yeah.
Even that couldn't floor him.
And I'm telling you, the guys on that 2004 team, which many Cardinal fans who were around for it, Jackson, it predates you a little bit. You were born in 98, so I realize you got to probably be in your 30s to have a real appreciation or older for that 2004 team and how great they were. And you can go back and look at that roster, and you'll see a number of guys who are either in Cooperstown or will be in Cooperstown, or in the case of like a Chris Carpenter, maybe would have been in Cooperstown had he not dealt with health issues. But the guy that they look to as the leader is a guy who just was on our show saying he wasn't that great of a player, and that's Mike Matheny. But it's because I think in part the toughness and then also some of those traits you heard in that conversation. And were you guys, Martin, I know you talked to him for your podcast last month, but as we were talking, and I interviewed him plenty when he was the manager, and obviously, as you made reference to, he worked with us doing his show with John Mabry and Mike Claiborne, but he just sounded really at peace. Which I'm super happy for. I'm sure part of that is the health scare, but I just think he's probably in a better place mentally than the stress of managing, in particular, managing here.
Yeah, I think when he got fired, he was probably a little bit bitter, even though that's not really his, maybe that's a strong word for a guy like him, but I don't think he felt very good about it. And by the time he got to Kansas City, I think he was starting to say, okay, I'm going to try this again, this managing. And he actually took some media training, and Joel Goldberg said he was the best I've ever dealt with over here. He really, I think, took some lessons out of the time in St. Louis, but then now, even years beyond all of that, I think definitely at peace is a good phrase for it. A lot of people were texting; they wanted the sassy Cassie. I'm glad we did. I don't think it would have gone.
Maybe we can get it now because
I think us dillweeds can enjoy it, but I don't know that.
I like that term, dillweed.
I want
to see that brought back.
I don't know that Mike would have enjoyed it.
Swinging package of dynamite named Sassy Cassie.
Oh my!
I love the whistle.
So there it is. I think it wasn't really a Mike vehicle at this moment.
I doubt I have the text exchange that I received so many years ago. Yeah, that's long gone from my phone. But wow, when that commercial played during his program, and he thought that because we had an agreement when he said I want to do the show, he was going to do the show with John Mabry and Mike Claiborne, and it was on KFNS and Inside STL. Owned that time slot, which we brokered from ownership at KFNS. This is in 2011. He said, listen, I get you guys to do what you do.
You types or you Tim?
And I knew exactly what he was saying, and he knew I knew exactly what he was saying. And he goes, and I get it, and it works, and that's fine. He goes, that's not what we're going to do. And I said, well, I kind of figured that would be the case. He goes, but I want the stuff that you do in the morning to not be involved in what we do from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. I said, of course, man, that goes without saying. So like a couple months in, all of a sudden there's a commercial for Doug, a stripper who
I
was
forgot what it sounded like.
a little person. Yeah, you might
I
not
wish we
remember.
had it on audio that we could hear it again.
Full swinging package of dynamite named Sassy Cassie.
I wish Clay. You know what, Mike? I'll handle Cassie Reed's over here.
Well, it was a recorded commercial, and he assumed, unfortunately, that I had snuck a breaking ball in the ad inventory. And I'm just sitting in my office downtown, and I get this text from Matheny. And I mean, you want to talk about the Matheny Manifesto? I got it on my phone that day, and I'm like, I don't even know what the hell he's talking about. It's not even our account. So it was a KFNS account. It wasn't an Inside STL account. And he just thought because it was a stripper and, candidly, a little person, he just automatically associated it with me. Very fair. But it just so happened I had nothing to do with it. And the non-ling, who texts me throughout the course of the program on this Blues run, was producing the show for me. He goes, man, I've never seen anybody more angry than Matheny when he heard the Sassy Cassie commercial.
No. But as I understand it, the commercial is gone now. You can't hear it anymore.
I don't know.
It got erased.
Doug, I think we still have it.
Full swinging package of dynamite named Sassy Cassie.
I wish the texts were still around. I wish it'd start with Tim. I know you're friends with all those little people.
Yeah. All the perverts, all the strippers, all the little people. I know those are your people. However, ladies and gentlemen, the program's called The Morning After. Great to have Mike Matheny on the show. Jamie Rivers in the 8 o'clock hour. You can go back and podcast anything. Schaefer Door Company podcast. And Jeremy Rutherford's going to be with us in studio for a segment in the 10 o'clock hour, plus the Design, Air, Heating, and Cooling email. Today, this is TMA, presented to you by Brown & Crouppen on 101 ESPN.
If you want to hop on a plane and get to Vegas, warm weather, Florida, South Carolina, you want to do it, but at a reasonable price, you can do that at Mid-America's St. Louis Airport, located in Mascoutah, Illinois. FlyMidAmerica.com is the website. Check out all the Allegiant flights, 7 different Florida locations, Fort Lauderdale, Fort Myers. Take the family to Destin. You can do it at a great price. FlyMidAmerica.com, the website to navigate when you park there and walk inside. Think about the typical airport hassle. Well, at Mid-America St. Louis Airport, park, walk in, get through security, and you're at the gate. All of that in about 15 minutes. That's the average time from parking to getting to your gate. 15 minutes. So it's convenient, low-priced, and it's fun. You're going somewhere warm. That's what it's all about at Mid-America St. Louis Airport. Also deals for our veterans. Parking is less than $10 a day. It's convenience that folks are looking for these days, as well as a great deal. All of it in one spot. Heading to a warmer climate. It's FlyMidAmerica.com. Book your next getaway. Do it today online.
Doug, Pee Wee Herman.
Right.
Another great baseball montage.
It's not the name of the song, but what is the name of the song?
Tequila?
It's the only lyric in the song. There's a great video of a guy doing karaoke of this song. Right. And the place is anticipating it, and then the tequila line comes and he says it, and it goes bananas. It's great.
Really?
But this is obviously
Sandlot?
Sandlot, when Benny the Jet is being chased by the Beast.
Mm-hmm. And Wendy Peppercorn?
Yes. Squints eventually married her, had a bunch of kids.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, if you miss Sandlot.
Do you do that tequila, the Pee Wee Herman knee dance? Can you do it with your hands crossing over your kneecap kind of thing?
Is that the Charleston? I think it's the Charleston. Or maybe the Lindy Hop.
Will you do that tomorrow on site for everybody?
Yeah.
It's not bad to do. We're going to be live at Ballpark Village, so we'll BK and Ferrario. That's brought to you by General Pest Services, Rawlings, and Budweiser. Plus, we've got Bachelor Baseball with the listener who is giving away his ticket to a lovely lady, he said, between the ages of 42 and 62.
Okay.
And so we're going to have the dating game live at Ballpark Village at the Shark Bar. That's where we'll be. Plus, who else is joining us, Jackson?
Jared Carabas. Yep, Carabas. I'm going to go back.
We'll nail it down between now and then.
I promise you.
Hey,
I will.
Jared, how are you? How do you say your name?
Don't worry, I'll have it beforehand, and I'll let you fellers know. And then hospitality folks from Busch Stadium will be popping by, talking it over with us, bringing some food for Doug, and then hope to get...
Just for me?
Well, I think we want you to sample it the most. Okay. And then the president of baseball operations himself, hopefully, will be joining us in the 10 o'clock hour tomorrow. So that's on the Stiefel dossier.
Sounds like a full show.
Yeah.
And a darn good one.
Yeah. Pretty good stuff.
Doug's going to food shame us. People are going to get a little peek behind the curtain what it was like to live in Florida for a week.
Yeah.
Couldn't enjoy a meal without being calorie counted.
Well, it's important to watch what you eat.
Well, look at me. You don't think I do?
I don't. A lot of people don't.
Officially, Carabas. Jared
there it is. It is now official, Martin. So that's where we will be tomorrow on the program. So come on by if you are headed down to Ballpark Village for the festivities leading into opening day and see 101 ESPN broadcasting from the Shark Bar. That is where we will be. You can email in for our Design, Air, Heating, and Cooling email today, the morning after at InsideSTL.com. That comes your way at 10:50. Tim McKernan, Doug Vaughn, Martin Kilcoyne, Jackson Burkett, Chairman Kurt with you. Missed anything? Jamie Rivers and Mike Matheny already with us. Jeremy Rutherford is going to be with us in studio at 10 o'clock. This is TMA 101 ESPN.
If you want your yard to look great this spring and summer, Green Envy is the company you need to know about. They've been in business in St. Louis for over a decade now, and they use only products that are formulated for our local soil conditions and the weather and the turf types. They do not use national, generic, cheap, ineffective products. They know what works in St. Louis, and that's what they put on your yard. That's what they've done to my house for 2 or 3 years now. Lawn is looking great. It's already looking good. The grass is springing up already, and you know what's going to be right behind that. That's some crabgrass. Crabgrass will be a big problem this year. Seems like it always is. With the massive amount of moisture we get in spring, it's sure to wake up even the oldest crabgrass seeds. Crabgrass can lay dormant when conditions are right for up to 15 years. So you need Green Envy to get out there and get it taken care of. Their number is 636-656-3689. Their website is greenenvylawns.com. That's greenenvylawns.com.
fan cave, ripping birds on the bat. Rest of the league, man, they can't handle that. I reckon Crew's gonna make the ball go flag. Your team, dude, is gonna need another pitcher stat. 11-11, now it's 12-12. Wiley Squirrels last year, put them on the shelf. This year it's Matty Freeze, Craig, and Beltran. We've got the best ever, talking about Stan the Man. I go from the monster to the home run slide. Not wearing a card cap, you're just on the wrong side. Another World Series ring is all I'm gonna see now.
Jeremy Rutherford, who's cute as a button, is going to be with us in studio in about 10 minutes. And looking forward to talking it over with him. His column just posted on The Athletic. How about this? All of the talk surrounding the Blues has been whether they can fend off the Canucks, Flames, and Utah for the second wild card in the Western Conference. But what about catching Minnesota for the top wild card on March 14th? So, Doug, we're talking about 12 days ago. On March 14th, the Blues were 10 points behind Minnesota in the standings. I mean, that's just absurd if you lay that math out, considering they're now 2 back. But in winning their 7th consecutive game last night against the Canadiens, they are now within 2 points of the Wild. Minnesota with 85, the Blues with 83. Minnesota does have 10 games remaining. Blues only have 9 left. Minnesota's 10 games, according to tankathon.com. They have what a wonderful site.
Wow, I didn't know that was taken.
Yeah. The Wild have the 19th hardest schedule in the NHL. The Blues, with 9 games left, have the 13th hardest schedule left. So that would most likely set the Blues up, if they were to pass Minnesota, to give Jamie Rivers his desired travel destination of Vegas in the first round in the playoffs.
Okay.
Showdown with Brandon Saad and your Vegas Golden Knights.
And, you know, Colorado has been just as hot as the Blues. They're also 8-1-1 in their last 10. If they hadn't been, if they'd just been kind of okay, the Blues would be chasing them for third spot in the division.
And then going up against, as I said yesterday, the odds-on favorite to win the Stanley Cup, even though they are 8 points back of the Jets, and that's the Dallas Stars, who are plus 550. So with that all established, Jim Montgomery talked about it following the game on the possibility of catching Minnesota in the standings.
I think we've just looked at controlling our own games, and I have not had a conversation with a player about Calgary, about Minnesota, about Vancouver, about Utah. I'm sure they're talking amongst themselves like us coaches talk amongst ourselves. But when we're all together, it's been real business-like about the present.
You know what shocked me about Monty yesterday? It was the morning skate. He gets a lot of Montreal press. They cover the Canadiens. They travel. He answered a question for about a minute and a half in French. And you forget, because Montgomery, obviously he's Canadian, but he doesn't seem French-Canadian. He was born in Montreal. Really? And he rattled off this minute and a half answer. He just does not seem French-Canadian to me.
Well, you speak French, don't you?
Parlez-vous Jacques Demers?
Nice.
Right?
Like that.
You do.
Yeah, you do, obviously.
But Monty, and that's another Army. We're not carrying rights here, but do you carry rights? You hold rights, Doug.
Yeah, you hold
rights.
You lick boots.
Yeah, throw a balloon party.
I look forward to the Cat's next media project for the next badge.
Doug Armstrong.
The rights holder merit badge Joe Strauss was making reference to.
What Army brings in Montgomery. Not immediate results. The trade, the sign and deal, the restricted deals with the Edmonton guys. We're like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. I mean, nobody was throwing a parade. Oh, we got Broberg and Holloway. And then now it's just all sort of coming together for a guy who's on his way out, but is in a transition period with Alexander Steen. It does seem that the franchise is in a good spot right now.
Yeah. Montreal is a French-Canadian city. Get a map! That's from the Veiled Prophet.
No, I understand that. I'm saying...
I thought we didn't know that?
I didn't know Monty...
Block him! Block this guy! Block him!
I want to be invited to his ball.
I didn't know that Monty was from Montreal, is what I'm saying. And he doesn't sound like a lot of the French Canadians that we hear coming through the league over the years.
Doug, paint me like one of your French girls.
Okay, stop.
Okay. It's fair.
Well, it'd be a nice feather in your cap to be able to speak a couple of languages, especially in hockey where the guys come from all over the world. Speaking of that, Matheny speaks perfect Spanish, which really would help a baseball manager.
Well, Mark Hanna's the sponsor of the 9 o'clock hour, and he speaks perfect French, if I'm not mistaken.
Does he really?
Yeah, I think that was one of his majors. I really do.
I think he was a French major.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about that? Fun facts for no and tell. Sponsor of the 9 o'clock hour. So, Martin, that was perfect. You knew Mark Hanna was the 9 o'clock hour sponsor. You knew he had a double major, one being in French. And so you told the Jim Montgomery story, even though you didn't know Montreal was a French-Canadian.
Mm-hmm. I knew Montreal was a French-Canadian. I didn't know Monty was from there.
He's in Quebec.
How about Jackson? Look at that.
Great fishing in Quebec.
Northeast of here.
Yes.
Nice, Doug.
Uh-huh.
Cold.
And the Quebec Nordiques used to be a franchise, and they are who now, Jackson?
The Nordiques, of course. That's the Utah hockey squad.
Move over a little east.
A little to the east. Well, that clears it up. Columbus.
Yes.
Oh, that's
really?
too far east.
You went
No, that's
really
not
far
right.
east.
Well, in between Utah and Columbus, there's just St. Louis.
This would be closer to Utah.
Would be
Who the
closer.
Blues play on Saturday.
Colorado Avalanche.
There it is. Yes.
Tried to help.
Yeah, you really
Fun
did.
with maps.
Yeah, that was fun. That was
I had a
real
good
fun.
time.
Mark Hanna probably enjoyed it as well. He's the sponsor of the 9 o'clock hour, 314-889-0503. Evergreen Wealth Strategies. Hammer it home. You don't have a financial advisor, get a financial advisor. I'm just telling you, you will never regret it. But you will regret not having one.
I see.
Yeah, you see that? 314-889-0503. And you will never regret a phone call with Mark Hanna. Somehow he will make you feel better, not only about your finances, but about life. He just has that kind of perspective. Give him a call, 314-889-0503, or go online at evergreenstl.com. Martin has onboarding. Jeremy Rutherford just completed his, even though he's been with 101 ESPN, I think, for 16 years. But it just kind of gives you an illustration of just how thorough the process is. Mm-hmm. And so, Martin, you only have 15 and a half more years to go.
Well, Heim's looking forward today. A lot of it's going to be about tomorrow's walkthrough with what goes on down at Busch Stadium.
Right.
So it kind of ties Hubbard and the Cardinals all together.
Yes, it does. So JR's going to slide
Heim wants to know where he sits during the game because Mo's got a box and it's kind of awkward. And there'll be some seats. We'll find some seats.
Martin's heading to onboarding. Jeremy Rutherford's heading into the studio. You are listening to TMA on 101 ESPN.
This is Action Jackson with a Sports Center update that's driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. Jimmy Butler returned to Miami last night as a member of the Golden State Warriors. The Heat defeat Jimmy Butler on his homecoming tour, 112-86. Bam Adebayo with 27 points. That was another Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at Londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
With this French-Canadian theme, Jackson goes with Celine Dion, Doug. And, boy, it's hard not to hear this and think of Billy Zane.
Is that who
That's
you
not what
think
I
of?
think of.
Who do you think of?
I keep thinking that if Kate Winslet had just moved over a little bit on that piece of wood, Leo could have gotten up there with her and not drowned.
Yeah.
There was plenty of room for two.
There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. Selfish.
Yeah. Do you rewatch Titanic ever?
Well, I've probably seen it twice.
Yeah, it's a hell of a commitment.
Yeah. Great movie, though.
I love
Great
Titanic.
Movie. Yeah.
Thoughts on Billy Zane?
I don't. Was he he's the dark-haired guy that was one of the
Cal
rich guys?
Huxley.
Okay.
I think that was a hairpiece.
Almost.
Boy, that was an abrupt edit on a Celine Dion, wasn't it?
Smoother, so I don't fall.
I know that was bad on my part. I was thinking about Billy Zane's hair.
Remember I had, by the way, Jeremy Rutherford's going to be in studio here in a matter of moments, that I had Pierre Turgeon in studio one night for when I was anchoring Sports Sunday when you and Steve Savard were out. And I thought it was a wonderful little topic.
Mm-hmm.
He said, I see in the media guide you got Celine Dion as your favorite musician. And I said, were you being serious or were you joking there? And he looked at me like I was insane. He goes, well, of course I'm being serious. Two French Canadians, you know?
Oh, yeah, great singer, fantastic singer.
But it's not usually what you would see. I would imagine that Pierre Turgeon was the only one in the NHL who listed Celine Dion as his favorite musician.
Yeah,
Maybe it's Jeremy Rutherford's as well. That wouldn't surprise me a bit because this guy's in touch with his feminine side. Jeremy Rutherford.
Just got done onboarding. Sorry, guys.
You're onboarding.
Gosh.
JR.
What a process it is. What's going on?
I'm doing well. I'm interested to see how the 57-year-old fellow is going to do with the ladies. Is that tomorrow?
Bachelor baseball tomorrow, live from the Shark Bar.
You got anyone in mind you could set him up with?
It sounded like he changed his age range about 15 times, didn't he?
Yeah.
What did we end
up at? A lot of pucks on net is what we're
trying to be
firing.
flexible.
Yeah.
Trying hard to be flexible.
42 to 62 is the current range. 42 to 62. He does seem like a good guy, though.
He did. Had a lot of stuff going for him. And
Air Force veteran?
I was trying to think from a lady's perspective. You hear the Air Force background. You hear that's got to be pension, right? He's got to have a lot of.
I think he's doing well.
Yeah.
He's not in bad shape, like 6 feet tall, $175.
Well, on shoes, right? He said, and spikes
yeah, I know,
or whatever.
and I know, and I catch that as a guy wearing lifts. I kind of thought, okay, maybe he's wearing the lifts as well. Like, well, check out my lifts. You see my lifts?
Adds a couple inches. You're doing your best.
JR, what's doing? You just got done doing the podcast.
Yeah, a little last minute blues podcast.
I asked Jamie Rivers this. I was texting with the non-ling, Kevin Lorenz. You know, I text with him during the show. Huge blues fan. Used to work on the show. He wanted me to ask Rivers this. I want to ask you this because you were covering the team. Does this team at all remind you of the 2009 team with the young core going on a heater at the end of the season just to get into the playoffs? Now, people don't want to hear that if they remember what happened in the playoffs. They got swept by the Canucks. Yeah. So nobody wants to hear that right now. But with young guys getting their first taste of it and making a run at the end of the year, any other similarities?
Yeah, I think from that perspective, the young guys getting a taste of it and going with it. And then also just the second half heater. Like, that was just like you went to the rink and it felt like they were going to win. You know, you remember back to it, Chris Mason was responsible for a lot of that. I mean, that was a huge goaltending effort down the stretch by Mason. This one's more of a team effort. Like, when I sit in the press box at the end of the night, the rink's empty, and you start to, okay, how can I tell this story? There's so many different players. I mean, you look at 8-game point streak by Holloway. Kairu's on a 7-game point streak. Broberg has a 4-point game. Like, it doesn't stop. I think Bolduc's up to like 9 goals in 15 games. So it's just coming from everywhere. So it's a little bit different in the aspect that it was kind of goaltending back in 2009, and this one's team effort. But you're right. Young guys getting a taste of it and really running with it.
And I'm in all kinds of group texts, and people are starting to talk about 2019 because it came out of nowhere. But I'm really intrigued. I asked Martin and Doug this at the start of the show this morning. And maybe I'm off on it, but from my standpoint, and perhaps it's because we know what wound up happening, but I just feel like the 2019 team had what was more obvious talent. And that's not a shot at the current team, but if you looked at the roster, if anything, you were going, man, why are these guys not performing up until they got on the heater in January? When you look at it, now maybe it's more of a case of it had more established talent, and maybe as time goes on, some of these guys that are young players now become recognized stars in the league.
Yeah, same qualifier is no disrespect to this team and what they're doing right now, but I think if you put that 2019 team on the ice with this team, I think that 19 team, wins the game 5-1. Yeah, and again, no disrespect, but that team, they had the talent, and going into that 2018-19 season, they were projected to be a top 3 cup contender. Mm-hmm. So that's what the thought of those guys was. This team has put it together. I think that if we're a week or two into the playoffs and the NHL, everybody's talking about the Blues are 3 games up on the Winnipeg Jets or the Las Vegas Knights, I think that nobody would be surprised because of the way they're playing. That's the type of heater they're on. But I think that if they also get swept, like the Blues did in 2009 to Vancouver, that nobody would be surprised either. You'd say, okay, good team. They got on a run there at the end. It didn't work out. Good season. We'll take it.
I'm thinking tomorrow night's game could get pretty crazy.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, what do you think on that?
Yeah, 3rd time in 6 games, playing Nashville, both games before.
There have been some shots in between the teams.
Yeah, and we just talked about it on the pod. I'm interested to get your guys' opinion on this. You know how they're really sticking up for each other? Like any little, you tap them and there's 2 guys on you. Like, it's nuts right now. 6 fights, like in the last 6 games. But here's my thing with tomorrow. If I'm Jim Montgomery, I'm thinking, guys, let's keep our cool. Yeah, we want to stick up for each other, but let's turn the other cheek and get out of here with a win. You get the win, get on to Colorado, and just move on with your season, because there's nothing to be gained by getting involved with Nashville tomorrow night. Like, yeah,
a team that has nothing to lose. In their case, the Blues have everything to lose.
Yeah, and if you get involved and all of a sudden you come away with a top 6 injury, like, that's going to really hurt your chances down the stretch here. So I'd try to get in and get out of there, even with as much pride as you want to have.
You ever scrap with any of the Nashville scribes?
Yeah, I could see you doing that. I could see you getting sideways.
The only scrap I've ever been in with a media type was a Kelly Chase. It was in a hotel elevator.
Oh, God.
There's about 10 of us in the elevator.
How intoxicated were all the parties?
Yeah, I think you got a point there. But the elevator's going up, and he's facing the elevator that's getting ready to open. And I gave him a shove. I had, 12 beers to me, right?
Absolutely.
So,
that's the right thing to do. Former NHL enforcer walks in the elevator. What do, Doug? You shove him.
I give him a little shove. And so the elevator opens. He turns around and just, bam, clock, straight in the forehead. So everybody looks at me. I think Kerber's in the elevator. He goes, "Hey, buddy, you're bleeding." So I got a split in my forehead. Wake up the next day. But yeah, a little souvenir. You grow up watching Kelly Chase. You just hope to get punched
what a
by
nice
him, right?
treat.
Yeah.
He hits as hard as he could.
He probably didn't hit me as hard as he could, but
you were probably stunned by
it
that.
did a lot of damage nonetheless.
Just a little jab as the elevator door opens. What else is going to go on? Jeremy Rutherford in studio with us here on TMA, and good to have a chance to talk it over with you here as the Blues are in the midst of this heater. I was talking about gambling odds. I've been firing little bets on the Blues. Believe it or not, I was. I got them at plus 17,500 just a week ago, and now they're down to plus 5,000. I mean, it has moved so much with this heater. To give an idea, what team that you're looking around? I realize Minnesota's now, 2 points away from the Blues. But as far as Calgary and Vancouver, and I guess to a lesser extent they've fallen off, Utah, is there one that you're going, okay, they got to keep an eye on that? Calgary was able to catch that win last night and to come back and then get it in overtime. As good as the Blues are playing, it's still not a done deal.
It's not. And Calgary, to me, seems to be the team that just won't go away, because you kind of expect them to, and then you turn on TV and they just came back from a 2-1 deficit and won the game. But same thing, Vancouver the other night. You think they're dead in the water and they get the tying goal and then they win it in the shootout.
Jersey.
So, to me, Utah seems, I don't say falling off, but that's the team that I worry about the least, I
Down
guess.
to 3% to make the playoffs on Money Puck, JR.
Yeah. So it's still Vancouver, Calgary, but for whatever reason, Calgary seems to be the most resilient of those two. But as I wrote about this morning, Tim, and I'm sure you guys have talked about, like Minnesota. Like I got the Minnesota writer at The Athletic, Mike Russo, texting me. He's like, "You son of a gun! You're going to be going to Vegas. I'm going to be going to Winnipeg." But you look at it, they're 2 points behind, and on Thursday, when the Blues are at Nashville, Minnesota's playing Washington. Tough game for Minnesota. You could catch them in points. Now, Minnesota will still have a game in hand, so they'll still have that top spot in the wild card, but you could catch them in points, and you're still talking about 8 or 9 games left after that point, so anything can happen. So, I think the Blues could finish top wild card, and I think they could be fighting for their playoff live with the Calgary and Vancouver Canucks down the stretch.
It's kind of interesting that the desperate teams in the West scrambling to make playoff spots are all playing really well right now. And the ones in the East are just falling apart. The Islanders, Rangers, the Jackets, the Wings, all of them in the playoff mix, and they can't get anything done at all.
Yeah, and Montreal had been playing really well. I know they lost 2 in overtime prior to last night's game, but I want to say like points in 13 of their last 14 before last night. And that's the thing about this Blues run is not only are they beating teams that are playing pretty well, like a Montreal, they're waxing them. They're waxing them. That's the thing is, since the Four Nations, I tweeted this last night, 13-2-2. They've scored 69 goals. That's the most in the league since the Four Nations break. And they've given up 37. Like, their goal differential since the Four Nations is a plus 32. They've taken their goal differential from a minus 17 to a plus 15. So, not to go stat crazy, but when you can raise your goal differential in 17 games like that, it's really telling of how you're waxing teams.
Not only been a good year for the Blues, you've had a pretty good year with the Quill, too, haven't you?
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. It's been a good media season for you?
I suppose. Let me in on how it's been a good year with the media.
Oh, I just thought you've written a lot of nice articles.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
I was like, I didn't know what we got going on here. I like that, though. Anytime you can weave in the word quill, I say you go for it.
I was getting my dictionary.com out on the phone here.
One of the, I saw him, he scores his 31st goal to start the thing last night, Jordan Kyrou. I don't know how many times over the last year, 2 years, when you and I have had a conversation, we've talked about Jordan Kyrou. We've watched the evolution of the player in the crosshairs of the fan base go from Bouwmeester to Parayko to Kyrou. Would you say that's a fair progression over the last 8 or so years?
Always got to be somebody, right?
How about what's going on with Kyrou this year? What do you think? I didn't see this coming, and I know plenty of other Blues fans probably didn't, but they're thrilled that they're seeing it.
Yeah, I think it's just sunk in with them. I really do. I think, maturing, getting a little bit older, understand the responsibility of being a leader on this team. And Tim, we talked last year, could they trade him before that no trade clause kicked in? And I felt that they could. And I do believe that they talked trade with Jordan Kyrou, like not with him, but with other teams about him. And it didn't materialize, and he's back, and they're probably glad he's back because he has figured it out. Like, he's scoring different ways. That, patience play last night that he scores on that one. And
beautiful.
It's his 3 30-goal season, 3 straight 30-goal seasons. So he's playing really good hockey, and the Blues are going to need it.
Colton Parayko's situation. He tweeted yesterday that he was skating with the team. I think he's been skating on his own, but skating with the team now. Number one, anytime I talk about it, I'm obligated to say, mainly because when I heard about the injury, I'm like, oh, that sucks. They're done. And yet they've won every game but one, I believe, since that happened, and the one in Pittsburgh. And then number two, what it looks like as far as his prognosis goes.
Yeah, it's funny because prior to the injury announcement, everybody said the Blues should sell. Then the injury gets announced to Parayko. Then it's, you got to sell. You have to. Absolutely. Now it's definitive. You got to sell. And now here they are, 13-2-2, and Parayko could be back soon. So it's amazing. But he did skate yesterday with the team. He had been skating on his own. The 2 comments that Jim Montgomery has made in the past few days, he said that he felt like he could get back sooner than the 6-week timetable, which would mean before the end of the regular season. But yesterday, maybe coach speak, but he said he's still a ways off until he's a player. So we'll see. But the fact that he's out there on the ice, and the fact that they're getting by with Nick Leddy, who doesn't play most of the year, then he's third pair, then he's playing top pair with Cam Fowler. Amazing. And when they get Parayko back, it'll be, I think, exciting for Blues fans to see how much better this team can look.
Who would be the odd man out when he comes back?
Yeah, that's a good one because if Leddy then loses that top spot to Parayko, Leddy goes down to third pair. Does he come out? Does Tyler Tucker come out? I think that's what it would come down to.
Yeah. Final question for you. I think at this time about a month ago, you probably thought the whole question you'd be writing about was if and when we would see Dvorsky, if and when we would see Snuggerud. Now, I saw your column the other day. Do the Blues even want to mess with the situation? Dvorsky in there because of the health situation on Sunday. What are you hearing on both those fronts and how they want to handle that?
Yeah, what I thought you were going to say is you thought you'd be writing about the draft lottery.
They also got that, and I had some buddies, and I would include myself, and they're going, if they fall off, so be it. At least they'll get a better pick.
Yeah.
And now here we're going, well, maybe they can make a deep run.
Yeah. So, no, Sundqvist needed some maintenance. Buchnevich out. Hey, perfect opportunity to bring Dvorsky up and play a game. And he played well. And Jim Montgomery said, tough to keep him out last night. But he said, go with the guys that got you here. And to me, that kind of opens a window into what the Blues could be thinking as they get down the stretch here and into the potential playoffs. Even with Snuggerud, too, is if Snuggerud loses tomorrow night in the NCAA or Saturday, and they bring him in, do they automatically put him in the lineup? I mean, what do you guys think? I mean,
no.
I don't think you mess with what you got going on. Like, how could it improve on what you've done? You just gave that plus 32 goal differential.
Messes with the chemistry.
And I think there's got to be something going on there. It's like the scene in Miracle when Herb Brooks brought in the guy from Minnesota, and they're kind of like, hey, we're a family.
Yeah.
Don't mess with what we got going.
Exactly. And the thing, too, is, Snuggerud's going to be a good player, right? And maybe he could come in and help you right now. But let's say you play a decisive game in a week or so. This is going to make or break you at the playoffs. And the college kid comes in. He's got 2 turnovers that lead the goal against. The rest of the guys are looking around saying, hey, what gives here? We had something going. So I think that's a tough spot.
Jeremy Rutherford, you can read a new column on theathletic.com this morning on Can the Blues Catch the Minnesota Wild? And some of the guys talking about that situation. Blues and Predators tomorrow in Nashville. And then taking on the Avs, who have been on a heater themselves, coming up on Saturday. JR, always good to talk it over with you. I love the sweater, by the way.
Yeah, little St. Louis Eagles, Suns hockey team.
Yeah, and they keep winning.
Keep winning. And you can watch a movie on my back. It's so big.
Doug, you want to watch a movie on?
No, I'm good. I'm good. But it is a nice jersey.
It is a nice sweater. Yeah. Thanks, JR. Appreciate it, man.
Thanks, guys.
That's Jeremy Rutherford with us. We'll take a break. More TMA coming up. This is 101 ESPN. Oh, the weather outside is just glorious, and now is the time to get it taken care of for the upcoming warm weather months on your outdoor living space. Do so with Dan and his team at Aesthetic Design and Build. Matter of fact, I'm thinking about doing something with Dan and his team in Aesthetic Design and Build, so much so that I've had them to my home. I saw their showroom in Chesterfield Valley. Really impressed, really like them, really trust them, know that they have the reputation for not only being the best, but also the most reasonably priced. Plus, they specialize in customizing outdoor living spaces for their customers. And really, one of the things that I would say is one of their biggest endorsements is the fact that they have this strong referral base from customers who had great experiences with them over the years. And if someone uses them for one project when they move or buy another home, they use them for that project as well. It speaks to the caliber of work that they do at Aesthetic Design and Build. Outdoor living spaces expertly designed. Go online at aestheticdesignandbuild.com and let them know I sent you their way. Boy, the editing is really starting to get questionable around here.
I think he edits his stuff wearing boxing gloves. Bring it to the Lou. I thought he was going to say the Lou.
Oh, sick lyrically. God,
what's going on with this guy?
Bless it.
It's all I can do to stay on the stool. Series, baby. World Series, baby. World Series, baby. World Series, baby. World Series, baby.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Doug, it's so wonderful.
Are we going to be playing these tomorrow, I hope?
Yeah.
Really loud?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't see what's going to stop us.
It's TMA, 10 o'clock hour here on 101 ESPN. Watch the program and join in with the Bridgeton landfill fume huffer.
That's tough because there's a lot of things you don't want to be huffing out there in Bridgeton. Especially
Tori Holtzfinger's in there. Jay Apple is in there. It's all brought to you by Michelob Ultra. That's the YouTube chat, youtube.com/TMASTL. And you can talk about how cute we are. And that is something that a lot of guys like to do about 10:29 in St. Louis.
It's uncomfortable, but you expect it in this business when you look like we do.
Especially when we dress like we do, like so seductively.
Yeah.
Doug, always quarter zip clad.
I might even lower the zipper a little bit today.
Oh, Bill, soft cow season.
Yeah. Oh, nice sternum.
Email in for the Design Air Heating and Cooling email today, the morning after at InsideSTL.com. That is coming your way at approximately 10:50. We will be down at Ballpark Village doing the show tomorrow. Opening day broadcasts presented by General Pest Services, Rawlings, and Budweiser. We will be at the Shark Bar, and that's where you will be able to find the program tomorrow from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. and then BK and Ferrario from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. And I'll be down there having libations. Jackson's going to be dancing by himself.
Yeah.
They play Get Your Sexy On.
You will.
Yeah.
You won't be able to help yourself.
They play Sexy back?
Yeah, you'll excuse yourself from the show and just start dancing.
I mean, it's not going to be like some sort of effort where I just go out there stone-faced and start dancing around. You know, it would be like organic.
Okay.
You know, I'll dance with the listeners.
Will you?
Sure.
You will dance with the listeners.
Yeah, I'll never. Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, Tim, heading to opening day tomorrow with the fam. Curious if you'll be on a Clydesdale being paraded around the stadium. Figured St. Louis's best should be treated like a king. Suck it, Doug. That's some sad panda.
The song that they play when they parade around, that was written for Tim, right?
Here Comes the King.
The
King
big
is
number
coming
one.
to town. Da, da. People don't really ride Clydesdale. They're too wide of a horse, right?
So,
I don't know if you'd have the dexterity.
It's a draft horse.
That would really hurt.
It would. You couldn't get your legs that wide. You have to get a split.
Oh, I do, though, with the Sibian.
I was going to say. Some training you can do.
I wonder how they would react if you even got up on them. They might not like that at all.
No,
Hey, dumbasses!
Yes, that's us.
You do know that those players on that stupid song you play don't play for the Cards anymore. You are all stupid. That's from the 618. Are we giving out a text of the day?
Yeah, I don't see why not. That person seems as good as anybody.
Congratulations, Doug.
That doesn't seem very fun.
Card. Doug, you've got something you want to tell us about? Is that correct?
Well, Design Air, because sometimes
that's a sponsor of the email today.
Yeah, sometimes this time of year you're going to want to turn that air conditioning on, and it may not work because you haven't tested it for 4, 5, 6 months maybe, or we still get a chilly weather. The furnace has got to keep going, and if you have a problem with either, you know who to call. That would be Design Air and Seth Goldcamp. He and his family have served over 10,000 customers in St. Louis now since the business opened in 1904. It's a fourth-generation St. Louis business. Gets handed down to the Goldcamp family, and Seth is doing a great job keeping it going now. Longest-running TMA supporter and advertiser on the show. They are known for their honesty and going above and beyond beyond the call of duty. I think most of us on the show here have had Design Air out to our homes, and we can attest to the point that they are just fantastic at what they do, know everything there is to know about the furnace and the air conditioning, your HVAC system, and they'll get you taken care of. Toot sweet. Their website, easy to navigate with the convenience of online scheduling. So for all of your heating and cooling needs, you know who to call. That would be Design Air Heating and Cooling. I could give you the phone number, but you would remember it. Yeah. So I'll give you the website again. That's designairservice.com.
There it is, Design Air Heating and Cooling. Sponsor the email of the day. Martin Kilcoyne just texting us in the TMA group chat. Let's see.
Oh, that's weird. I didn't get it.
Wow, Chairman Kurt not happy with Martin. John Mozeliak will be on at 10 a.m. tomorrow. How about that? And what time is Bachelor Baseball?
Following that.
Following that, Doug.
The vibe of it will last the entire program.
Yeah, it'll be eternal.
But the attempt, I guess, will be towards the back half.
You
got
to cut Mo off, tell him, sorry, we got something
the
to get
Bachelor
to.
thing. He might stick around to watch.
Well, maybe he can help, find somebody,
Maybe he can be one of the judges.
That'd be great.
Mozeliak will be a judge on Bachelor.
Sounds like a special project.
But, but don't tell him beforehand either. Have that be a surprise.
Send your emails in. We got that Design Air Heating and Cooling email today coming up. This is TMA 101 ESPN. Doug, is this a song about the Cardinals?
I think so.
It's just a banger.
Oh. Camila Cabello, and I would give it 20. I'm going to go 20. I'm going to go 2017 because I think 16 is live, and I don't think 19 is. So it gets me 16, 17, and 18.
18.
Okay.
You like this one, Doug? East Atlanta?
I can't understand what they're saying.
This is Young Thug.
No matter who it is, I can't understand the words
Jeffrey.
they're saying.
That's your favorite rapper, isn't it?
Yes. He's way up there.
Mount Rushmore will be given out tomorrow at the Shark Bar, where TMA will be broadcasting live from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. Brought to you by General Pest Services, Rawlings, and Budweiser, BK, and Ferrario from 11 to 2. Cardinal opening day broadcast. Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Mound City, where these Cardinals are getting ready to make a surprising run to the World Series.
Could happen. This could happen. Of course, we got to get hot.
The Stanley Cup and the World Series in St. Louis in 2025. You heard it here first on 101 ESPN on March 26th. Also, you can get the best dental service you're going to get at 100 West Dental on Manchester and Baldwin, online at 100westdental.com with Dr. Brandon Pryor. He would like a Tennessee Volunteers NCAA tournament championship to go along with that World Series at Stanley Cup. Okay. Jackson would lose his mind.
Yeah, I would like to see Rick Barnes do well, but it would just be for any other team. It'd be great.
All right. Well, that's what you're going to have to deal with tomorrow when Kentucky takes on Tennessee. That's tomorrow, isn't it?
Yeah, I picked Tennessee.
All right. So you're picking it. So you're with Dr. Brandon Pryor, who's going to give you this deal if you're a TMA listener. Mention my name, get $1,000 off Invisalign. If you're on the fence about Invisalign, they have a digital scanner that can show you a simulation of what it'll look like before you even go through with it. It's 100 West Dental. Online at 100westdental.com. They're on Manchester in Baldwin. I glanced at the YouTube chat, which is brought to you by Michelob Ultra, in the commercial break, and I saw this, Doug.
What'd you see?
And I'm not sure what the context was. Wake up earlier, dork. It's 10:30.
Is that a reminder to all of us to get here a little earlier?
Yeah.
I think there's an argument going on between a gentleman by the name of Mac. Chairman Kurt smells a burner.
Dubious.
And then other listeners in there. And MD 2020 says, sorry, I get a little banty when I feel like Tim is being attacked. I will not stand for it. Doug.
Gosh. It's nice to have an army, though.
Lemming.
MD 2020 must be banty all the time then. But Mac says he commutes into work at 10:30.
That's too late.
Nice
Get
gig.
there earlier.
Well, what if your shift starts at noon?
Get there earlier anyway.
Yeah, I guess
Just to get prepared.
When you're an
Do
adult,
some stretching.
When you're an adult, how early is early enough to say I have to wake up early tomorrow? Like anytime before 7 a.m.?
Oh, yeah, that's early. I'd say that's early. I'd say anytime before 8 is early.
Really? So 7:30 is I have to wake up early?
Yeah, I think so.
As an adult?
3:30, that early, Doug?
3:30 is very early.
Chairman gets
That's when you get up.
Every day of the week. It's by
crazy.
Friday, I am just an empty vessel that don't ask me to do anything on Fridays.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Does the alarm goes off or you just wake up?
I set the alarm for
What
that
time do you
early.
get up on the weekends?
Typically, my body will just wake me up sometime
3:30?
around 7.
Oh, okay.
Last weekend, I did some sleeping in, though. It felt very foreign, but it was nice.
And what are you doing at 3:30 that you need to get up for?
Tightening his body, bro.
Yeah, pumping iron.
I'm at Club Fitness by about 4.
And it's open at that hour.
24/7.
Are you the only one in there?
There's a couple other psychopaths in there with me.
Why do you do it so early?
I've done some trial runs of going after the show, but I just don't have the same energy at that point. And
Plus, you avoid, like, if you try going at like 3 or 4 or 5, it's a zoo at a lot of places. Not like it's
in the afternoon.
Yeah, it's just it's crowded.
The after work crowd.
Yeah,
yeah.
And I never have the same energy. Like right when I wake up, as soon as I get some caffeine in me, that's the most energy I'll have all day. So I respect. Also, Kentucky, Tennessee is Friday, 6:30.
Jackson is apologizing to the audience for being wrong.
Mm-hmm. Tomorrow's
I've done
Florida,
it before.
Maryland, Texas Tech, Arkansas, right?
Yeah.
That's what Missouri should have been playing. Arkansas. It's tough. Yeah. Celebrating my 1-week anniversary in Wichita.
Yeah, as you look back on it.
We had a great time.
Yeah.
As bad as the game was, we had a great time. But wow, that drive.
It's longer than you think.
Yeah.
Sneaky long.
It's sneaky long.
Yeah.
And the drive between Kansas City and Wichita will test a man.
Yeah, I'll put some hair in your
Put
chest.
the man to the test. Got that Design Air Heating and Cooling email today coming up. BK and Ferrari at 11 o'clock. This is TMA presented to you by Brown and Crouppen on 101 ESPN.
This is Action Jackson with the Sports Center update. That's brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. Blues win last night. Make that 7 in a row for your St. Louis Blues. Off today, back in action tomorrow as they head to Nashville to take on the Predators. You can catch that game right here on 101 ESPN. Pregame at 6 p.m. Puck drop at 7 p.m. That was another Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Line drives, never in a funk. Look out now, these baby birds gonna fly. First place by mid-July. All the haters be singing their tune. They'll be playing in October when you're on your pontoon.
I just don't get that.
This Youngry Birds Club's about to take over the St. Louis area in what will be remembered as the most magical year in St. Louis sports history.
Could happen. Could absolutely
Off to
happen.
a raring start. Oh, the Blues, red hot.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was talking about. What were you talking about, rare and start?
Tigers.
Tigers?
Missouri.
Yeah, I knew which school, but they're not playing anything right now.
I know, that's the problem.
Oh,
beat Illinois in baseball yesterday.
Good W.
All right.
Okay. Doug, we've got this Design Air Heating and Cooling email of the day coming up. BK and Ferrario at the top of the hour. First text. Hey, Tim and the other dumbasses.
Hey.
What if we'll change the name of the show to that?
I always like Tim and the Garbage Man.
Tim and the Garbage Man?
Yeah, I think it's a better name.
This is a text and not an email. Period. Lowercase, cause I can never find the stupid email address for this stupid contest. Period. Lowercase s. So here it is. You listen to those stupid-ass songs, and you all sound like a rejected boy band that spends the time practicing in Doug's basement while he fat-shames you for eating food, comma. Sorry, Doug, not all of them have to drink their food through a straw.
Okay, block him. Yep. Okay, block him.
Tim, people don't care about your dumbass poker hands. I don't think I played a hand of poker.
Why don't you regale us with one?
2008 World Series of Poker main event. I'm under the gun. Jeff Bryan, who finished 27th in the main event the previous year, is under the gun +1, so he's directly to my left. I pick up pocket fours. Doug calls them sailboats.
Yeah.
And I think I raised 3x big blind. This is day 2, Doug.
Mm-hmm.
Brian flats, action around button calls, and big blind calls fold for everybody else. I flop a set, bet it. Brian calls heads up to the turn. 6 of spade comes off. I don't say spades because it makes it sound like I'm more sophisticated.
Mm-hmm.
I bet. He check raises. I see him on a flush draw. I shove all in. He calls, and he turned a straight with 5-7 suited. And I did not pair the board on the river, and my tournament was over, and I walked out of the Rio in Las Vegas stunned.
Oh, did you really?
I'll tell more poker hand stories tomorrow.
A straight beats a full house?
Yes.
Oh.
No, it doesn't, but I didn't get the
got it.
hold on, I want to keep with the text. I got a hand for you that I'd like to smack that sweet ass of the chairman while he sings if I could turn back time by Cher.
That seems like a turn in the text line.
Blocking.
His body is a vessel of poor sugar and electric moves. Those hips truly don't lie. That's from the 618.
Okay, block him.
Hey, Jackson, no one cares about Mizzou. That's from a separate texter. It's 314.
Yeah, nobody does.
What's this song called? That's from the 636.
They Youngry.
That's right. And it's available
on YouTube, Rogers and Hammerstone. Or Hammer Toes.
Thank you.
Not to be confused with
And
Rogers.
if they hungry, it's improper grammar.
They Youngry.
That's right.
Okay.
They're Youngry birds. Victor Scott, think about it.
It should be there. They are.
That's a matter of opinion. It's time for the Design Air Heating and Cooling email of the day.
Okay.
Good morning, gentlemen. Hope you guys have a good opening day tomorrow. I'll be listening in intently all morning. I really hope you find that man a date, though I am floored he turned down Doug. Nevertheless, whoever that lucky lady is, better he bought some sort of sodium-rich processed meat tube covered in caloric slop. The kind of thing a Jefferson County would feed their Rottweiler on its birthday. You know, the kind of dog that growls at you and scares you half to death, and then the owner says, Princess is really a sweet dog. I can't believe she doesn't like you. The kind of dog you later find out mauled a toddler.
Yeah.
Anyway, Doug, can you meet me at the cookie stall tomorrow? No, not the crumble cookie one. I mean the handicap stall in the men's room outside Big Mac Land. I'm serving up my red-hot sausage covered in steaming chili and fried eggs for your enjoyment.
Oh. Who was it, Tim?
The Bridgeton landfill fume huffer.
Bridgeton landfill fume huffer. Not a good email.
I am not emailing in today. I refuse to give Chairman Kurt the satisfaction of filtering me out again. I isn't playing his game. It's from Mr. T, but then it says Bagger afterwards. So I wonder if that was Mr. T or then like a different guy.
Mr. T.
Yeah,
Bagger afterwards. He's new.
Bless his heart, but when Jackson was previewing tomorrow's dossier, he said, we are very excited to have Jerry.
I didn't say Jerry.
Jared, Care. What's his name again? Nothing screams, quote, very excited, like the painfully awkward silence of forgetting your guest's name. In his defense, the pale one probably can't think straight because his brain is too clogged with Michael Porter Jr. stats and memories of Gareth's sensual caresses. In a vacuum, it was one simple mistake. However, his unprepared stuttering came on the heels of a confusing metaphor that Busch Stadium is, quote, the equinox of the Midwest. We are provincial folks. We don't understand your uppity references to niche cities like L.A. and their health clubs, Ledoux boy. A, it's unrelatable. B, it's unfunny. And C, shut the hell up. Just sit there quietly and produce a show until someone has a question about Sleepless in Seattle. Oh, here's another idea. Play some drops every once in a while instead of constantly talking about the brothers on White Lotus hooking up in the shower. Opening days tomorrow. You need to focus on TMA's upcoming remote broadcast at Ballpark Village, which will inevitably feature technical difficulties like the time your YouTube feed accidentally showed 15 minutes of Chairman Kurt silently working the Hubbard studios while everyone else interviewed Rick Horton 1,000 miles away at spring training. Doug, that's from the JV golf coach, not happy with the presentation.
I figured it would be better to look at me than to just nothing while you talk to Rick.
Agreed.
And finally, the following is a public service announcement for all of the Bluesier olds who chose to bitch on social media instead of simply creating a free account in order to watch last night's Blues game. We live in a capitalist society where the professional sports ball teams are out to maximize their profits through media rights deals, which increasingly result in fans having to jump through a series of hoops upon hoops. The reality is that the poors could watch this game with their bunny ears on Channel 32. The Spectrum people could watch it on Channel 6, and everyone else with an internet connection and a smart device could stream it for free in exchange for having their digital hole pawned and or creating another burner email account. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps and figure it out next time. Or just go rewatch A Time to Kill with Plowsy or that incestuous handjob scene from White Lotus with Libby Jack. Ours is a type of fan page where a sandbagging wino feels free to drop in at any time and post Grateful Dead concert videos, pictures of the cars in his driveway, as well as a beach bikini pic of Steffi Graf Agassi appearing to have a well-managed portfolio of shrubs underneath her bikini. Okay, gotta go now. I need to call into Joy 99 and try and land a Festus 4 to be my date for opening day. Since I didn't have any luck with the 101 audience, I'm not picky. Pretty much anyone aged 42 to 61 who is a female will do. My only other requirement is that she's never been ditched on a first date at a baseball game before, which unfortunately or fortunately has every applicant so far failed one of those two requirements. Doug, that's from Buck Swope.
Buck Swope.
That's what we have for the Design, Air, Heating, and Cooling email of the day. I have a question. What you got?
Well, they weren't great today, but I'm going to go with the JV golf coach.
I've become a big fan of people being concise, and I'm going to go with Mr. T. Bagger.
Wow.
I'm going the Bridgeton landfill fume huffer.
I'm going Bridgeton landfill fume huffer as well.
Damn it, Lucas.
Bridgeton landfill fume huffer is won the Design, Air, Heating, and Cooling email of the day. We will be live at Ballpark Village tomorrow from the Shark Bar doing TMA, and BK and Ferrario will be there from 11 to 2. The opening day broadcast presented by General Pest Services, Rawlings, and Budweiser. Time for us to shut it down. For Jackson Burkett, Chairman Kurt, Martin Kilcoyne, my brother Kevin, Douglas Elvin Vaughn, I'm Tim McKernan. This has been TMA, presented to you by Brown & Crouppen on 101 ESPN and the TMA STL YouTube channel.